my baby here with one hand.
Huh.
Trying to feed my baby.
All right, we're live.
Trying to feed my baby here with my left hand.
Huh.
Okay, while controlling the mouse with my. I'm multitasking with one hand.
Mm-hmm. So I brought up this kind of, I guess, topic to you before the program. And I myself was even wondering if we should even talk about this, I guess. And you not convinced me, but you assured me that it's fine.
I didn't assure you anything. I just don't give a shit. I talk about anything. Whatever comes to my head will come out of my mouth. And that's simple.
Yeah.
If people are hurt by it, well, they shouldn't be. But if they are, they chose to be that way. So it's not my problem.
If they are, then that means that they don't have emotional intelligence, which is
no. Well, I guess you could say that. I mean, you can kind of. I mean, it doesn't sound good because then you could say, anybody that I ever offend, that they don't have emotional intelligence. Or maybe I was just a jerk and I just, and I said something wrong and they got offended.
No, but in this particular case, it's one of those things, like B.I.G says, don't say something that's not readily understood with the hope that it will be eventually understood. So this probably falls.
What did B.I.G say? Explain that.
B.I.G, there's a thing in B.I.G that says here. This is in exactly what the wording is. Yeah, B.I.G 2. Come on. I don't want the Safari. I just want like there we go. Do not. Here you go. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi said, which is the proper course that a man should choose for himself, that which is an honor to him and elicits honor from a pop-up that pops up. Elicits honor from his fellow men. Be as scrupulous about a light precept as of a weighty one. Hold on. Okay, no, this is not what I want. Hey, come on. What's going on over here? Hold on, I gotta find this. Where is it? Seriously? Okay. There you go.
Hey man, you say something from the Torah, you're not familiar with it. Now
no, I'm familiar. I don't know. I'm just looking for the place. Chapter 3, verse 5. B.I.G. Hillel said, Rabbi Hillel, do not separate yourself from the community. Do not trust in yourself until the day of your death. Do not judge your fellow until you are in his place. Do not say something that cannot be understood, but will be understood in the end.
What does that mean? I have no idea what that means.
Like, don't say something that's not readily understood in the hopes that it'll eventually be understood. You understand what I mean?
Well, what would be an example of that?
Like, don't talk about what we want to talk about in the hopes that people are initially are going to think one thing and then eventually, they'll understand actually what we're talking about.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think that's not necessarily like until I hear like some kind of official like commentary what that actually means. I don't know if that's true, man. Okay. It's not. It could be. All right. How about try this?
Okay.
Let's say, you say you'll say like a movie reference, right? You'll in a conversation you'll talk to an audience. You'll say like One Crazy Summer, there was this crazy guy named Bobcat or whatever, right? Nobody saw the movie. Nobody knows what the hell you're talking about. Nobody knows what a Bobcat is, right? And then you're hoping that through the, in the course of giving the speech, you'll give an explanation as to it, as to what it was, and then they'll understand what you were talking about.
Okay.
It could be something like that too.
Can I read to you? This is
that's not a great example, but I've heard stuff like
that. This is an explanation from, there's a website called ravkooktorah.org, and they get into this whole thing. So it says, Pirkei Avot, Hillel's healthy suspicion. Okay.
So it goes, the overall message of Hillel's 5 warnings, because it's one of the 5 warnings,
Okay.
is be careful. Don't store too much trust in the goodness of anyone, including yourself. No one is perfect, not even the greatest prophet or religious leader. When the Talmud wished to illustrate this idea of not placing too much confidence in one's own righteousness, it gives the example of Yohanan the priest. Despite 80 years of service in the Holy Temple, Yohanan became a heretic in his old age. So I want to get into the whole thing of
Again, so how does that apply to,
it's very simple. Like, we think that people are gonna if we perceive in this particular case that people are not going to be offended by what we're saying, or even understand that our people are going to understand what our point is, and they may take it the wrong way. That's all I'm saying.
People are prone to take things the wrong way anyway, which means we can never talk. You understand?
But so far people have not taken most of our stuff the wrong way. This particular topic, they could really take the wrong way if we're not careful.
I don't want to be careful, man. I just want to talk,
Okay.
If I have to start walking on eggshells with this topic, then we're
okay.
You know what I mean? We got to.
I'm just saying, that's it.
We got to change the name of the show to Pussy.
Okay.
I don't want to be on a show named that. Okay.
In the words of Borat, you want to get this. You do not want to be named this.
Listen. You know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you one thing. On a personal level, right? There's like specific individuals, right, that I wouldn't want to offend just because I like them. Yeah. And I wouldn't, and I like not what people they're from or anything that they're associated. I just like them. You make a friend, you don't want to hurt their feelings.
Yeah.
Okay. So, that kind of stuff I care about. Okay. But a person like that, who's my friend and that I care about, normally knows that I don't have any malice.
Yeah.
So if I'm saying something, right, and it's dumb, or I said something that was not correct, or something like that, then it's not correct. But it's not done with malice. It's not done to hurt.
It's not done because you're a racist or this or that.
It's not done because it's not done to hurt anybody's feelings. If I say something, listen, I try not to, but it's definitely possible for me to say something that's like wrong or ignorant, or it's possible. You know what I mean? I'm not claiming to be, a scholar, Mr. Perfect, but nevertheless, I still got to say it. Okay? Because one thing that we're trying to do here, and this is above all the topics that we talk about, is we're trying to dissolve bullshit from the earth.
Yeah.
And by bullshit, it doesn't mean like we're not talking specifically about facts, but we're talking about getting into the habit of people saying what is in their heart.
Yeah.
Understand? And what's in their mind.
Well, it's funny that you're saying this, because I was just watching, and it actually might be a good segue into the topic. How did I even come up on this topic? I started watching Paul Mooney's old clips.
Wait, hold on. Before we continue, for the folks at home who are waiting in suspense for the one person watching, we're talking about black stuff.
Yes, black entertainment.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
We're also going to talk about the supposed curse of Ham.
So, I mean,
whether or not it's real or bullshit.
Hold that thought. Hold, because we're now you just like you spilled the beans. But
no.
So I was watching these clips, and I came across a clip of Paul Mooney, the comedian. Paul Mooney, for those of you guys who don't know, was he was one of the main writers of Richard Pryor. A lot of his material was kind of very, like, some people just would flat out call him a racist, right? Or like
I don't care about that part. I care that he's kind of fruity. That's all.
He's a little fruity, but honestly, I don't even care about that. I mean, it doesn't really bother me.
I don't care about that either. It was funnier to say that.
If anything, that kind of played into his stuff, because he used to talk about, like, I was watching a skit. He was talking about Lady Diana and the Queen. There's a whole thing that the Queen killed Diana because Diana was like too pretty for everybody because they're all ugly. And he's like, this B.I.G. So he just sounded like a black woman, being angry at a, you know, a white, you know, royal whatever. But one of the clips I was watching was, you know, they were all these other comedians like Tommy Davidson, you know, from
Yeah.
In Living Color. They were paying homage to him because he passed away last year.
Tommy Davidson?
No. Paul Mooney passed away.
Oh, Paul
Tommy
Mooney.
Davidson and like Robert Townsend and all these other guys.
Like that would make me upset if Tommy Davidson
Yes.
passed away. Paul Mooney, whatever.
So, so Tommy Davidson was paying homage, and one of the things Tommy Davidson said is like, you know, we all used to go see Paul back in the day, Paul perform at the Comedy Store and all the places, and basically he would just say all the stuff that we were thinking, but we would never say on stage. He said it, and
I guess I'm honoring. I guess I'm honoring Paul Mooney.
No, I'm saying like this guy was like blatant. He was blatantly honest. You know, and
so that's what we need. So we need more people like Paul Mooney in that sense.
Yeah. And but because he was blatantly honest, similar to our friend Patrice O'Neill, it I guess it hurt him monetarily because he didn't become as, you know, as famous, or he didn't get as much money.
All right. You know what? There's other reasons why.
Yeah,
that's possible. He didn't become famous. First of all, he's not very pleasant, and he's not that funny. He's
some of his stuff is pretty funny, but he's not pleasant.
No, the material itself, like he I could see him being a good comedy writer, but he's not likable.
He isn't likable. He's like likable half the time. Like I watch him. Sometimes I'm like, you know, I'm on his side and I'm with him, and he's, you know, he's got a captive audience in me, I guess you could say. And then like the other half of the time, I'm just like, ugh, like I really don't like this guy.
Yeah, he's not likable. He's not trying to be likable. Yeah. You understand? Like Patrice, you know, he actually might argue with this, but like Patrice was likable because he was like, he really, like you saw, like he was really
suffering with the rest of us.
He was trying to help people.
Yeah, he was suffering with the rest of us.
Yeah, you know, he's like, come on, man, just be real for a second. Just like tell us how you feel. Like, don't even worry about like all that.
Even when he was saying, let me just harass you.
Well, that's different.
He was being nice about it. You know, he was
no, that's different. He would talk. This is a common thing that he did to white guys. I'll give you. I can relate because I'm a white guy. I can relate. You know, where he's like, listen, guys, like I'm not trying to, you know, get you, you know, to feel a certain way like all these other, you know, liberal motherfuckers are. All right. Like I'm not trying to make you go, oh, you're right, I'm evil or something. I'm not into that bullshit. You know what I mean? He's like, I just want things to be like, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to understand you. I want you to understand me. And I want to be able to explain white guys to everybody else. He goes, I'm an expert at white guys. He's like, I got a PhD in white dudes.
Yeah, that's funny.
You know what I mean? It's like, yes, Patrice, you could be, you know, I'll be in your Praetorian Guard. I'll be your number, you know what I mean? Like if you started a revolution, Patrice, I would be your, you know, I'd be your like freaking bodyguard, man. Yeah. You know? So he was likable, and Paul Mooney had malice in his heart.
He did, yeah. He did.
Okay. Yeah. And he was kind of fruity, which didn't help.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So the point is like this.
But with that said, I mean, all the people that kind of venerated him, they said he was, you could say a lot of things about him, that he was honest. He was honest.
So what is honesty? Let's define honesty.
No, he was honest. He honest in their context. He, you know, a lot of them would say he was talking about things in the Black experience, what we were all experiencing, or we all felt. Let's say, even if it's wrong or right, that's how they felt. That's their perspective. That's their lens.
No, you see, you know, one of the things I didn't like about Mooney, right, is that he wasn't fully honest. A lot of this shit that he said was meant to be hurtful, right? Yeah. And he was part of the psyop. We covered this.
That could be, yeah.
Okay, so he, like, for instance, like he, you know, like a lot of Black comics, you know, they some of them do it. Some of them I noticed do it, you know, just as a comic device,
Yeah.
and you could kind of tell that it's not real. They're not that taking it that seriously, and they're not really trying to hurt. It's actually just for a punchline or whatever, you know. Even then, I don't like it, but at least it's not malice.
Yeah.
He would, you know, his whole thing was about literally, like, you could see he felt that white people were evil and inferior.
Yeah.
That was clear
Yeah.
from his communication, but he didn't say it. He didn't say. Let me rewind that. Sorry, I didn't mean. What I meant to say was he was not clear.
Yeah.
He wasn't straightforward. He did it in like backwards, backhanded like ways, where, you know, you had to kind of just like sit there and think, like, you know, you have to kind of interpret it. You know, do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't straight. If he was honest, he'd be like, look, I think white guys got little dicks, and I think that they're evil, and I think that all white women want black guys, and we're gonna get rid of you. That's what he was saying, but he wouldn't say it straight. So I do not respect him in that respect. So I don't know what they mean by honest. You know, Patrice he spoke straight, but he didn't have malice. I guess it's easier when you don't have malice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what it could be?
Mm.
If somebody has malice, that doesn't mean they're all bad.
Yeah.
Like maybe they got something going on in their head that they know it's wrong, and they still, on some level, they still got some conscience, and they kind of, so they don't want to say it directly, but they do want to say it, so it kind of comes out in this back ass way, you know?
Yeah.
All right. So Paul Mooney. Listen, I've seen every bit of him on Chappelle's show. All right, some funny stuff, some not. You know, with the, with I like his whole bit about the Last Samurai, right? And with Tom Hanks being the last black guy on Earth. You know, like that was funny. You know, he had his occasional zingers.
Yeah.
But overall, unlikable fellow. People felt malice, and I think that people that liked him, right, or that liked some of the stuff he said, felt similar way.
Yeah.
So they just came to agree with someone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That could be it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not always because of persecution that somebody didn't make it big.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true.
You know, sometimes it's like it's a lot of it is the person's own.
A lot of it is palatability. Yeah, like Eddie Murphy, actually, believe it or not, probably had similar material to Mooney, but he managed to make himself likable enough. Also, he was younger, and he managed to balance it out with like just material that was more universal, let's say. To where
He still had a little bit of that. If I think about
he had the edge, but he was, you see,
not
like
the edge.
he was,
No, not the edge. Listen, I love Eddie Murphy. I do. Okay. I don't like everything that he ever said. I don't like everything that he feels. I don't agree with him on probably most things, but he's a funny dude. You know, I love him as a comedian. All right. But he had the same bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, and you could tell like this. I can't remember if I think this was Raw, right? He was talking about like Brooke Shields.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. He's like, yeah, you know, I would,
yeah. He's
Brooke
like,
Shields with or whatever.
Yeah. Like, why would, you know, he just, that's what I'm talking about. Like, he
felt the need to mention that.
He would say, he would have said like this. If he would have said, look, if y'all would have let me gone to the Oscars with Brooke, I would have wooed her with my charm.
Yeah.
Right. And then I would have had sex with her.
Yeah.
And then you could kind of be like, I guess that's possible.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
He's a 27-year-old guy talking. What do you want from him?
No. Wait a minute, dude. Let's take this step by step. We got to tease this bullshit apart. You know, this is how the psyop works.
Dude, before we do that,
they try to rush through it. They jam information and they make you rush through it. We can't do that.
Before we do that, I need to use the boys' room. I apologize.
Use the damn boys' room.
I'll be back in a few. Sorry about that.
Yeah. He went to the. He needs a bathroom break for a minute. He'll be back. What? No. No, no. Oh, do I want to know? Yeah. What? Oh, oh, great.
Could I have your phone number? I just want to take you out to dinner. Or like a movie. Just hang on.
Matt, you were a loser in high school. Now you're just a loser who wrote the ball and fucked me. Are you happy?
I'm so sorry. I'm not here. Sorry. I'm gonna leave you alone now.
Hello.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, back. Sorry. All right. Sorry. So we were saying about Eddie Murphy.
Oh, Eddie Murphy, right, man. No, so Eddie Murphy, you know, when he was saying, he goes, "Yo, if y'all would have let me take Brooke Shields,
Grammys.
she would have she would have definitely gotten, you know what,
Such and such, yeah.
such and such,
Yeah.
and so forth, right?
Yeah.
What have you? Okay,
Mhm.
so so what is he saying? He's not saying, you guys, I am so charming, right? I can charm the pants off of any woman. If you would have let me go to the Oscars with Brooke Shields, I could have wooed her with my whatever, with my charm. He didn't say that.
Yeah.
He said, you know what they say about us black guys, that's all women care about. So, I can, she definitely wants it right away. That's what he's communicating.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so I'm not going to put that all on Eddie, but
Yeah.
he did that. Mooney did that every chance he got, because it's about malice. That was malicious.
Yeah.
Okay. And it always pissed me off, right? Like I had conversations with girls,
Mhm.
these imbeciles, right? That I some of them that I grew up with, right?
Yeah.
They're like, you have a problem with her going out with that black guy. And I'm like, yeah, I got a problem with her going out with that black guy.
Yeah.
Why? I was like, because he's an asshole.
Yeah.
But there are other times where somebody's going out with the black guy. I like the guy. I'm like, all right. So
Yeah.
you understand what I'm saying? But automatically, if you don't like
Yeah.
any black guy going out with any white woman, then you're a racist.
It's kind of like my parents' friends my parents' friends, Russian Jew. She for some reason liked Obama. She voted for him, and she accused all her Russian Jewish friends of being racist. Like, she's like, you don't want to vote for him because you're all racist. I know you people. I know you guys.
The thing is, I get filled up with, like, I hate your friend, this girl. Hate her. I hate her more than Obama.
It's my mom's, yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I got to work on that. I'm not saying it's good, but
Yeah.
that mindset, like, to me, almost, it's like you're it's like you're irredeemable. If you're able to think in those terms, there's no hope for you. Like, that's what I feel like. Like, how are you going to get out of that mental, like, swamp?
Well,
Like, how deep are you where you can't, where your mouth, you allowed that to come out of your mouth. Something so stupid, something so insane, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. You know, like, what kind of person are you?
Yeah.
So this topic, by the way, it should be noted, just on a side note, this whole topic of like big penis, small penis, and all that kind of stuff is idiotic beyond belief.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, and it's not, so we're not really focusing on that. We're focusing on the intent.
Yeah.
Like, let's say, you know, for whatever reason, right? We grew up in a culture that if somebody called you green, okay?
Green, like the color green.
Yeah, I'm just something completely stupid, like
Yeah.
random. Like green is like a massive insult.
Yeah.
Now, it's stupid to be insulted by being called green. It's a color, you know, but the intent, the fact that it's possible to hurt somebody, regardless of how stupid that person is, for being offended by such a thing. So there's a malice there.
Yeah.
Right. So we're kind of we're looking at it from that perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I guess.
And also, wait, I got to say one more thing. Just on a side note, just going beyond this discussion entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody, like any woman or any person, especially like women, who care about such things, right? Or who would be susceptible to somebody because of their physical attributes, right? Like that person, that you should be grateful that person is out of your life. Meaning,
Correct.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a good filtration.
Correct.
What kind of person is this?
Yeah.
You know, it almost reminds me of like those Roman like mistresses.
Yeah.
Not the mistresses, like the Roman, like, you know, I'm not gonna say the noble women
during Caligula time.
Yeah, like around that time, right? You know, they have like slaves, and they would trade slaves. Like, oh, that slave has a nice this one, and that's
or as Monty Python would say. In Monty Python, they would say "Biggest Dickus."
Yeah,
Emperor Biggest Dickus.
That's you know what I mean? Like, what kind of woman, like, are you? if that's what you know what I mean? Like, you're,
it's like a total anti-Hashem, anti-Jewish, and
not even that. No, forget about it from the religious perspective. I'm just talking about it from pure intelligence and character.
True.
I mean, that's what turns you on. Like, that's how. That's all you need. Like, you're borderline retarded. If that's what it takes to satisfy you, then it's not interesting. You're not an interesting person.
Yeah.
That's why I said earlier, like, if Eddie Murphy would have said, I wooed her with my charm and intelligence, and that kind of thing.
Or he could have said that, and then he could have said, well, you guys know what I mean. And he would fill that in with, like, of course it's my charm and intelligence kind of thing.
Right.
As opposed to just
again,
blah.
Again, the intent is to create some sort of the feeling of inadequacy.
Yeah.
Right. Like, don't let, where the white women at? Like Cleavon Little, right? And Blazing Saddles, that kind of
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what is that?
So I guess what I wanted to touch upon with everything that in the context of what we just introed in the last, I don't know, 30 minutes or 20 minutes. I guess there's a thing of, like, I've just been watching a lot of stuff from like the late 80s, early 90s, Black comedians, R&B singers, even rap. And I noticed that, for example, with stand-up, it's funny because why did Black comedians create their own what they used to call the Chitlin circuit, which even lasted until like
I never even heard that term until today.
Chitlin circuit is basically,
I know, it's like the Borscht Belt.
Yeah, well, it's all over the country where Black comedians were not allowed to perform in white clubs, so they created their own thing, right? And it was like a traveling kind of band of people.
That's an easy answer, and it's not. This one is not unique, like just to Black people. It's sort of like.
No, I wasn't. I was like.
Oh, if you have
what are you trying to answer? What do you?
Why did they? Why was that created?
No, I know why it was created. I'm just when I was.
Oh, but there's more. There's more to it.
Okay, no, but I would try to get to like a
Okay, go ahead.
trajectory of one. I just wanted to say something regarding that. So it lasted until, the early 90s. This kind of stuff. Granted, in the 80s and 90s, it became like a glorified thing where people started getting, power. People started being like producers and directors. What's his name? John Singleton. I mean, that's with movies more. Boys in the Hood and all these kind of movies. And then, but it was very much like you had like, the Apollo Theater, Showtime in the Apollo. You hear me, man?
I hear everything.
Okay, no, I just didn't do that. And all these like I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, all these kind of movies, the Wayans brothers in Living Color.
The Wayans are unique, by the way, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, I'm just saying like that stuff went away. Like Dave Chappelle became, Eddie Murphy became famous, Dave Chappelle became famous, and we're done. These guys went into what's called the white America comedy scene. Again, I don't know what the official names for these things are. I'm just making them up and as I see them. And
well, that's the main market.
It's the hold on a second, man.
We were in China.
Hold on a second, man. I'm getting a knock on my door. Hold on. Sorry. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, but you were saying it's the main market, but the thing is like parallel to those guys becoming famous, the black comedian, Def Comedy Jam didn't go away.
It did it? They still got it?
No, I mean at that time, I'm saying I don't know if they still have it, but like it went on for a while. It went on for HBO. It's interesting because that guy, what's his name?
I actually love Def Comedy Jam.
Yeah, I love it. And that guy, what's his name? The guy Simmons, Russell Simmons.
Thank you very much for coming out.
Yeah, he ran it
every time, every night, every show. He's like, "Thank you very much for coming out."
Oh, Russell Simmons?
Yeah, he had a list.
Yeah, so I always wondered what was the appeal with that guy, but whatever. I guess he was a smart businessman.
There's
But
no appeal. He's just a producer. He's
yeah. But no, so he did that for a while, and there was like almost like this parallel world where there was still this black comedy circuit, but then every once in a while you had one of these guys, like Mike Epps.
Wait, stop.
Yeah,
this is a very long question.
Okay.
You got to okay. How many like? Because you're gonna like this.
I'm not asking a question. I'm creating a scene, and then we're gonna talk about it.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So you had this whole situation where you had this whole black comedy realm, and every once in a while, one of these guys would, kind of jump out into the mainstream. Like jump back in, jump back out, jump back in, whatever. You're like Mike Epps, that guy, Mike Epps. You had eventually, what's his name?
Mike Epps, like How to Be a Player or something like that, or
no. Mike Epps is the guy. He played in like the second Friday movie. I sent you his video. Kind of light skinned guy.
Yeah. Oh no. You know what I was thinking? I don't know why. Bill Bellamy.
No. Bill Bellamy was on like MTV. Also, he kind of like crossed over a little bit.
All right.
Mike Epps is the guy. He had the show like like one of these politically incorrect shows about like different races and how funny they are. He tried to do it on HBO recently. This is more recent.
Actually, don't know. I can't.
Whatever.
Who it is?
Here I'll play you. You'll hear the voice here. Hold on, you know what? Let me play something better sound. Like when you hear the voice, you'll know exactly who this is. This guy, he was on like the second Friday movie. Don't worry about this. When they were like, here.
Def Comedy Jam.
I just got to look them up. I'm gonna Google Mike Epps.
Ads. Oh God, I can't take this.
We don't have Jamie, man. We need a sound engineer.
Yeah. Or just like somebody who just killed these ads. It's unbearable. It's unbearable with the ads.
You know what? I never thought that I would give YouTube any money, but if we're gonna keep doing these shows and using YouTube, we might consider it.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on, give me like 4 seconds, and
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah.
this
okay.
guy.
Right. Yeah.
So this guy came out, to the mainstream, whatever.
Yeah. See, sleepy eyes. Yeah. He's
Yeah. Bernie Mac came out, like, but at the same time, it almost seems like more or less, by and large, this whole thing disappeared. And then you go into rap, then you go into R&B. You know that they used to be the R&B category in all these award shows back in the 80s and 90s. They don't have it anymore. Why?
There's no. What do you mean? Like Grammys? They don't have R&B anymore.
They don't have separate. And if they do, you know what? Give me a second. I'm pretty sure that this is the case. Here, Grammy Awards. And if it is R&B, it's not even R&B. Yeah, it's like they have like Bruno Mars. And like, I mean, the stuff is not R&B. The last time they had R&B, see, I'm looking at all the years, like probably like here, Grammy Award for Best R&B Album. The last time you had like a real R&B album was maybe like, well, besides like Alicia Keys, probably like, see, they had like D'Angelo, but nobody heard this stuff in 2016. Nobody's listening to R&B anymore.
Yeah.
Last time people really were listening to R&B, see, Mary J. Blige in 2007, John Legend 2006, Alicia Keys. You have to go all the way back to like D'Angelo in 2001. You know that video where he's like naked, or from the waist up, whatever.
I actually don't know D'Angelo.
Okay.
That might have been already like way
That's
after
your
I
time,
started.
yeah.
I started
Like,
caring.
yeah.
Поставь снимать, потом разговаривай.
Oh my gosh. I'm getting harassed. I'm just being harassed. now. Dude, I gotta give me like 2 minutes.
No problem.
Dude, I gotta give me like 2 minutes.
No problem.
Four zero four seven three.
Oh,
Yeah, man.
apologies, man. Sorry about that.
No problem whatsoever.
We're gonna have to heavily edit this.
That's fine.
So
And again, just the parts where we're not talking.
yeah. So where were we?
Damn, I don't remember.
Yeah, but kids are like there's no R&B anymore. Something happened to rap. I think it started like 20 years ago, you know? And I think somebody brought Satan into this whole thing.
Okay, I have a lot to say about what happened in music,
Okay.
and it's a multi faceted
Yeah.
attack upon music.
Yeah.
Okay, most accessible reason, primary reason.
Mm-hmm.
When you had the really talented Motown singers, or the black music that was produced even before that, jazz, right?
Mm-hmm.
Super high level skill, like beyond
Yeah.
like just absolute genius.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like amazing.
Yeah.
And then it kind of, but even the Motown singers were amazing. Like these people, what they had something in common. They were all kind of, I'm not going to say classically trained, but on some level they were classically trained.
Yeah.
They had and the same that actually kind of goes for rock musicians too, from the 60s and the 70s. These guys, like people like Led Zeppelin, you know, these guys, they had exposure to classical music. Okay, so they benefited from that. They used that skill and that exposure to create incredible pop music, right?
Yeah.
But the generations following that, they didn't have, all they had was that pop music. Okay, so you have a whole generation of supposed musicians
Mm-hmm.
that didn't have exposure to the classics, so they didn't have that foundation. Okay, so they're producing this garbage. It's unlistenable.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, obviously, we're not talking about across the board. We're talking in general, mostly.
But it also seems that you know how it's funny, like you know how they called it soul music, soul, you know, Soul Train Awards or Soul Train.
Well, I mean, that came from a time when that meant a specific thing.
So, but what I'm saying is like it seems like, yeah, people had a neshama. The people who created this music, you know, a lot of people like to say, oh, you know, you guys, you know, white people, they're so racist, but all the music they like is black. We like music that has a neshama. And your music, their music used to have a neshama. And at some point, the neshama was ripped out.
Yeah, but hang on a second. Like that let's back up for a second.
Yeah.
If somebody said that to me,
Yeah.
you white guy,
yeah,
all the music you like is black,
yeah,
I would say, wait a minute. I'd say like about 40% of the music I like is black. Not all the music. Okay. Which is a stupid thing. I mean, that argument is a stupid thing. Like it shouldn't matter. It really, in reality, doesn't matter who's producing the music. If you like it, then you like it. End of story. Okay. But it's not true.
Yeah.
I've heard that before. I've even heard Patrice say that.
At one point, that was actually a fact. Again, in the early 90s, that actually was a fact. Most of the music, it just so happened that I liked, was made by black people.
Oh, that's but you could that's for you.
Yeah.
All right. That's not, you know, that's not the case for everybody. Yeah. But I've heard black comedians say stuff like that. Like it's almost like it's like
a blanket statement.
It's a blanket statement. It's sort of like it's not even challenged. You're pretending like this is already an accepted understanding in the public. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. So I think, you know, it's important to state that. But So it deteriorated. It deteriorated greatly because, we're getting further and further away from classically trained musicians. And also, I think it has something to do with religion as well,
I mean, yeah, for sure.
because I know that a large, the opportunity to get involved in music, especially in the Black community, had a lot to do with going to church.
Yeah.
Okay, they had, they had a lot of singing, just kind of getting familiarized with the music, playing the piano.
Mhm.
They had orchestras. They had, that's where it started. And then, when they wanted to get like, interesting, so then they went to the nightclubs,
Yeah.
to play the stuff that's like, the edgy stuff, jazz, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you need something to be edgy against, to produce something interesting.
Yeah.
There has to be this kind of like, as Rabbi Bax would say, there has to be this tension.
Yeah.
Produced from the left side to the right side.
Yeah.
We're not talking about politics, folks. We're talking about spiritual. We're talking about the sphirot.
Yeah.
There's a tension, a pull back and forth, and then when you find that sweet spot, you create something amazing. So they had, the Black community, like other communities, had, they had religion. That was a big part of their religion, morality.
Hmm.
Right? And then if you wanted to challenge some of that, right? You wanted to, let's say, create a more flexible mind, right? I'm talking about in the sense of, music, right?
Yeah.
You'd start like, because music is a language, right? So if there's a kind of music that you play in church in the religious setting, and there's certain notes that you play, there's certain melodies, certain rhythms, certain scales and you avoid other types of rhythms and scales and notes. Okay, because that part, because that music is of the devil.
Yeah.
Right. So they had this kind of thing they had this tension, and they had this temptation to go play the devil's, quote unquote, the devil's music. Okay, so that tension, that conflict created something amazing, because like, I think it's well known, beautiful art comes from pain.
Yeah.
Especially comedy.
Correct.
Okay, if you don't have that conflict, you got nothing going on. Like,
Yeah.
it's not, there's no controversy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's not interesting. So the
Mhm.
music starts to suck. Okay, that's number one. That's layer one. Okay, I would say that that's like 40% of the reason why we have shitty music now.
Yeah.
I would say overall, the reason why beautiful music is no longer cultivated is the same reason why religion is being phased out of society, or
Yeah.
they're attempting to phase it out of society.
Yeah.
Okay, it's part of the same plot.
Yep.
Okay, think about it. It also has to do with, freezing the mind of human beings, deadening the
Yeah.
spirit and the intelligence.
A lot of it is very like the same words being repeated over and over again. It's almost like they're trying to do hypnosis,
Yeah.
like brainwash music. It's not even you
Yeah.
know?
Absolutely. One way to see it is like in commie countries, or countries that basically adopted socialism, or
Yeah.
statism. Let's call it statism. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Right? You see, the older architecture is stunningly beautiful.
Mhm.
It shows like a complexity. It shows like,
Yeah.
you ask yourself, how do they create such beauty? And then as the time went on, they didn't get more beautiful. In fact, they went in the other direction. They created building
like-
structures with little, like, that are boxes
Like
with little
drab.
box windows.
Yeah.
It's a serious regression. clearly.
Yep.
Okay, so that's part of it too. Okay, it's about, I'm gonna borrow a term which doesn't mean what I'm gonna use it for. Stupefy.
Yeah.
Stupefy me. I think it in the correct, used in the correct way, I think it means to like stun, right?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna use it as to make people stupid.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what it's for. It's a plan. Okay, that's been in effect probably for a while.
Yeah. At least 30 years.
Yeah. And why? The question is why? Well, ultimately, we know it has to do with the Sitra Achra and the free will type thing.
Yeah.
But the people, the humans that are involved in this plot, who are not fully conscious that they are Sitra Achra agents, and they're not fully conscious that they're working for, the ministering angels and all that kind of stuff, right? What do they think they're doing? They are stupefying the public, people in the world, in order to make them easier to eliminate.
Yeah.
Okay, they're making you docile when it's convenient. Okay, they're making you not procreate. They're making you easier to trick.
They're turning sex into just like a activity.
Yeah,
That's
into
all
something.
that's all it is.
Into some, into something that is completely, they're trying to turn people into Charles Manson, essentially.
Yeah.
You remember what Charles Manson said about sex? To him, he's like, it's just to him, it didn't matter man or woman. Like,
yeah,
he goes, it's just sex. It's like eating. It's just a physical urge. Like they're trying to create that kind of mindset.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. He could have been one of the earlier test subjects to the methods that they use, on everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So basically, and he was like a cult leader.
Yeah.
And he influenced all these young girls.
Yeah.
Right. A lot. I think most of the people in his cult were young girls.
Yeah, they're like aspiring actresses or something like that.
He himself was an inspiring entertainer. He wanted to be a rock star.
Yeah.
And he would talk about, like, when they were with him, right? He would talk about lofty things, like, ideals and goals, and he wasn't just like, let's chill. He didn't make himself sound evil. He made himself sound righteous.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
There it is.
But he would order them, compel them to go kill people, and they would do it, and they become like violent animals. That's what you see from the left.
Yeah.
The people who supposedly talk about peace and love and gentleness and kindness and consideration, they're the worst offenders. You hear the worst possible things possible from them. Like, remember when those photographs came out about the children, at the border?
Yeah.
Right. The children in the cages, which were, those were old. In reality, those were old photographs from Obama. Who set up those cages for the children, right?
Yeah.
But the media lied and said, oh, that's what Trump is doing. That Trump built these cages, and he's putting, this is his invention.
Yeah.
So I heard like celebrities say, I hope Barron Trump gets his son gets abducted by pedos.
Dude, they aren't well.
You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about, like, I think that was like one of the Fondas who said that.
Yeah.
I can't remember which Fonda.
Yeah.
These elder statesmen.
Yeah.
These people are beasts.
Yeah, they are.
I want to. Can I just veer into Kiefer Sutherland just for a moment?
Please.
Kiefer Sutherland. We talked about this. He was in a movie with Dennis Hopper. Kiefer Sutherland played an FBI agent who was transporting Dennis Hopper, who was in jail for a long time. He was like this hippie who was sent to jail in the 60s and whatever. Okay. Oh, no, he was on the run, and then they caught him, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. And then in the course of the movie, you find out that Kiefer Sutherland grew up on a hippie commune, which is shocking to us because he's this American, crew cut, straight arrow FBI agent, who's not into hippies. Okay, so that was like a, you know, and so him and Dennis Hopper, they visit the commune on which he grew up because they're passing through the area.
Yeah.
And the commune is abandoned except for Carol Kane. She's the last, you know, she's the last holdout there. Okay, and Carol Kane's cute, adorable lady, right? She was she was like the Miracle Max's wife from you know, from The Princess Bride, you know, and she played a lot of like funny roles. She played the crazy, the psychotic fairy in Scrooged. You know, she had a lot of great roles.
Yeah.
But she was spouting this hippie nonsense. She was saying like, you know, what happened to, you know, the influence of like the people that we loved. We loved Bob Dylan. We loved, you know, Abby Hoffman. We loved Che.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the 80s, right? This movie was in the 80s, 89 or something like that.
Yeah.
And most people, there was no internet. And most people couldn't look up Che. And most people weren't familiar with what he actually said in his teachings. He was a murderer who was completely okay with genocide. He hated blacks. He hated gays. He hated Jews. He hated Americans. He hated anybody with the capitalist mindset, and he thought it was totally okay to kill them. And he executed possibly hundreds of people personally, including children. Okay, so there's always been this element, you know, to these people who talk about, you know, love and care and acceptance and all this kind of stuff, but they're down to murder if anybody, you know, if anybody goes against their agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, this, whoever, you know, let's call them the Toolies. We've been calling them the Toolies, okay?
Yeah.
Or the World Economic Forum or the Open Society, right? Okay, these are all just like different names for the same shit.
Yeah.
So this is something that's been going on for a long time, to dumb down the public, and a big part of dumbing down the public is to dumb down their music.
Yep.
Okay, and to dumb down their education.
Yep.
And to make them into in emotionally incontinent ninnies. Okay, into lemmings. That's what happened to black music. That's why R&B sucks. That's why there's no R&B. That's what happened to rap. Let's talk about rap, for instance. So the you know, let's define what good rap is. To me, it's like Wu-Tang, right?
Yeah.
Black Moon, right? People like this. Why? Because, well, there's a lot of reasons, but they sampled the classics.
Yeah.
They used like these like kind of organic sounding, or you say analog sounding, like sounds, you know, these like kind of like these like dirty beats, you could say, which is a good thing for beats. Okay, and they sampled old jazz tracks and, you know, and old R&B and stuff like that, and you didn't hear any auto tune, you didn't hear any like, you know, any Casio keyboards, you didn't hear any of this cheap shit.
Yeah.
Like they were creative with how they sampled music and how they incorporated it into their tracks. Okay, there was a lot of intelligence and talent involved in that. Okay, but with Biggie, right, they started using that, you know, cheap effects. You know, there was like, it just, and also the content, like not the content, but like the subject matter of the tracks, right? Like in the 90s, I'm not trying to idealize these people. I mean, you know, we're not talking about saints here. We're talking about Method Man, right? We're talking about Old Dirty Bastard, you know, Raekwon, Ghostface Killer, okay? But they felt like they had something deep to say. Sometimes they succeeded, but they always, whatever it was that they were saying, it was really, they were artists. They are artists, you know, they were actual artists. You know, they did things that sounded amazing, and they communicated ideas that were not shallow, they talked about a lot of tragic things, but they also incorporated like goofy comedy, like adolescent type comedy, like the type of stuff that like teenage boys will be talking about. Like, remember they had that gag where like, like I don't remember who they were trying to like, if like how would you kill Hitler? I don't know if they were talking about Hitler. So they were coming up with like clever ways to execute him. Like this is the kind of stuff that we talked about when we were kids. Like, what would you do to him? And then, one guy's like, I would, stick him head first in a wood chipper. And then it gets more elaborate and ridiculous. And everybody knows we're not serious, but we're coming up with these like, so Wu-Tang did stuff like that. I can't remember which track it was. Do you remember that started? Like, so here's what I'll do. I'll sew his asshole shut and I keep feeding him. And oh no, that's the intro to Method Man, right?
Oh my God. Huh.
Of course. No, the actual track, Method Man, right? That's the intro to it.
Okay.
Right? So his asshole shut up and keep feeding him and feeding him, right? And he's like, I put his D, inside of a drawer and just slammed the drawer.
Oh my God.
Like whatever. They were something was real about them. They weren't.
Yeah.
They had like because rap after that, Rafi does not like rap.
Yeah.
But he hasn't had a chance to hear it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's just impatient.
Yeah.
So basically, after that, with Biggie, boats, I'm on a boat.
Yeah.
Look at all my bitches.
Yeah.
Okay. It just became this one thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then every now and then, like, like you'd have something that came out like by accident. That's like, oh yeah, that sounds like, it sounds like the 90s. That sounds like,
that sounds like that sounds like something with a message.
Yeah, there's right. All you had to do, but still the music sucked, but at least they were like trying to say something like positive.
Yeah.
But it was woke. Like it wasn't actually real.
Yeah.
Okay. So the music sucked. And even when they tried to, it was a pre-programmed message. It was pre-packaged.
Yeah.
Okay. Everything. I think that like, even though maybe Biggie himself was not one of these people, but he somehow ushered them in.
Yeah. No, he did. Yeah. It did. His stuff did. Yeah.
The pre-packaged, like you see, the more shallow the message gets, evil piggybacks on it.
Yeah.
And there's gradation, there's levels to this.
He may have meant to be playful, but then all the idiots piggybacked on his playfulness.
Right. He was glorifying like the worst kind of behavior.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I need a new bitch in my life. Remember that? He's this whole like, player persona.
Yeah.
And treating women like, like not having like a stable relationship. Like
it's like that song, I got hoes in different area codes.
Yeah, he was normalizing all. It's amazing that women were dancing to this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was dirty. It made my, like when remember I was telling you how I feel about the Clintons. Like when I think about them, like I feel like I got to go scrub my neck for some reason. Like I feel like I got gunk on my, behind my ears or something like that. That's how I felt when this kind of stuff started coming out. But I could listen to Wu-Tang all day.
Yeah.
I listened to one of my favorite albums to this day. I just listened to it like a month and a half ago. Was Bizarre Ride to the Far Side by the Far Side. This is a rap group from like early 90s. You know that song? She keeps passing me by.
Yeah.
That song is a masterpiece, and it captured something that I can relate to. Like it was, you know what I mean? It was somehow.
Yeah. One of my favorite songs is Ex Girl to the Next Girl. And even that had like the guy was telling a story about how he had a relationship and how some girl was like
No, but I think she ended up being a guy.
No,
like that. No, they were super goofy. They did a lot of comedic stuff.
No. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about it's a different guy, different singer.
I know because Far Side they had a song like that too.
Oh, okay. No. That's not.
Right. So they were more human. Do you understand? Like they were like you know, they
I'm talking about Gangstar.
oh Gangstar, yeah.
No, just like a story. The guy's telling a story how he had like.
I think he died, Gangstar.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So those guys, the rappers that we liked, they had access to Motown, to jazz, and you know, it's just kind of like, you know, they didn't shy away from the goofy, like human experience, like watching kung fu movies
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. Like Wu-Tang was all about that, you know, like
Yeah.
watching like old cheap you know, kung
Yeah.
fu movies from the 70s and
Yeah.
you know, eating like, you know, nasty like food, and you know,
Yeah.
the music was based on all that. That's
Yeah.
the music developed,
Yeah.
you know. And now we're talking about Cristal, champagne, you know. This is
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yep.
Okay, so that's why we're in the state that we're in.
Yeah.
And
It's almost like funny because you know, people who are like, let's say BLM talks about, you know, people who are oppressed and all this kind of stuff. And yet it's funny because like in the 80s and 90s, that's where all the good rap came from Dafka, the people who were, you know, living in squalor, like Wu-Tang and all these other guys. But now all these musicians are not oppressed. They're anything but. And you
I
can
don't know if like oppression is required.
not required. I'm just saying they're, I mean, yeah, some of them, a lot of them come from like the ghetto and all these kind of places. But what I'm saying is like, you know, every so often you see
Oppression
like
wasn't I'm sorry to interrupt you, but oppression, like if I'm thinking to Wu-Tang tracks, there was not, they didn't talk about oppression.
I don't mean oppression. I'm talking about just kind of like, you know, they're from the ghetto. Not even, don't forget about oppression. Just like they're from the ghetto. They're from like Staten Island. You know, they're from
from Shaolin,
a place called Soundview. You know, and like, yeah, you have these kids now today, like rappers who just come out of nowhere with some weird ass name. So you know, a lot of them, they're from the ghetto, but they're not singing about. And if they are singing about the experience, you have no idea what the hell they're talking about. You don't understand
they're
what the
mumbling.
Yeah, you don't know. Yeah, it's like mumble. You don't understand what the hell they're saying. Half of it's about like just shooting somebody, and
It's
that's
not even
it.
about that anymore. It's just about just like, I don't know, man. It's like I don't even know what they're singing about. It's like
It really seems like some sort of just demonic ritual, like tongues. You know, like they're speaking in tongues.
it right. It's really some. It seems like something absolutely esoteric. It says dirt, like like who am I thinking of? Who's like the latest like female rap? You know, like
Female rappers, Nicki Minaj and all those girls.
right. So I think like I've heard some of the tracks. I can't like, but I noticed something. It's about like it's glorifying the whore, like be as promiscuous as possible. You know, like it's porn. It's pure like porn advertising.
Yeah,
you know, it's clearly normalizing it. And if that's what kids are actually like listening to, then we're finished.
Yeah,
you know, without the Marshmallow Man, we're done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
yeah,
so that's what happened, dude. That's where, you know, you don't have like there's no morality. There's no you know, there's no tension. There's no more there's no conflict.
Yeah.
There's no conflict.
Yeah.
There's no creativity.
Yeah. Yeah. See, you have these like Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, Megan Thee. They're all basically the same. They're all like
Cardi B is the one I was thinking of. That's the latest one, right?
Yeah. Megan Thee Stallion.
I never heard of that one.
Doja Cat. Yeah, like they're basically all like the same theme kind of person. I think they're all like this. To me, like I can't even tell them apart at this point.
Yeah, I can't either.
Because they're just like, it's literally, they look like they're just.
But you know what? They're super like clowny, meaning like they got so much makeup and wigs and stuff like that I don't even know, like, you know, you can't recognize them.
Yeah.
You know, the last kind of, remember Khalees?
Khalees?
Remember this artist Khalees? She was like, she had that song, my milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. Was that Khalees?
Kelis, yeah, Kelis. Oh, Kelis, yeah.
I thought some of the
Yeah.
some of the music, like she seemed to me like I was like looking at it, I was like, there might be, is there some potential there? Like, is she creative? Does she have like some musical chops? Like, I don't know. It seemed a little bit interesting. And I don't know.
Yeah.
And I liked she had this track called I'm Bossy.
Okay.
And the video was pretty cool. It was like very style, it was very like, it reminded me like of Busta Rhymes' style.
Well, she's from our generation. That's what you know. She's 42 years old.
How long ago was that, Khalees? I'm just curious.
You're talking about. I remember she came out. I remember when I was in college. Yeah, like 20 years ago.
20 years. Okay, yeah. So forget everything I said.
She was like performing with.
More recent to me.
She was married to Nas at one point.
Yeah, man. Nas. You know what? Like, would anybody listen to Nas nowadays? Like, I don't know. Even Nas.
Yeah.
Yeah. They shooting. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I mean, it kind of that stuff kind of happens when people who didn't have money for years and years and years all of a sudden get money.
Yeah, like Bette Midler.
They just want to sing about their money.
Bette Midler has been rich for like 50 years.
Okay.
And she's a complete dimwit. You know, like the kind of stuff that she says shows that like they're out in space, like they have no more connection to to the human experience of like what most people. You know, like these people, that's what happens. Like,
well, they'll tell you it's because we don't and we see more than you. That means we know more than you because we see more than you.
Yeah, I don't think that's true.
It's total BS.
Yeah. You know, I think if they say that, that's because they were initiated into some kind of like secret tool.
Yeah.
You know, and they're made to feel like they know.
Yeah, that they have access to more.
They have access,
than we do.
And it's like Reagan said, it's not that it's liberals. With liberals, it's not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't.
Yeah, so much that isn't so. Yeah.
Right. So much that isn't so. Right.
Yep.
So you know, I think we solved.
The question is, what?
I think we have completely solved this issue.
No, the question is now. It's like, how did this happen? Because we said that it happened, right? But how? The question is.
Oh, I said how it happened. It happened first of all because it was part of the plan of the globalists.
Okay.
That's the main reason. Actually, that's the second from main reason. The first main reason is that God is allowing the Sitra Achra to operate.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the tools of the Sitra Achra, the toolies, you could say. I actually meant TOOL.
Oh, okay, fine.
But
the
it works.
Instruments. The
but,
instruments.
You know, it's a lovely coincidence.
Yeah.
Right. The instruments of the Sitra Achra are these globalists who, you know, I don't know if they're taking orders directly from the ministering angels. I think that they're just being affected, and you know they have their own worldview, and the ministering angels are just using them as instruments. Okay, so that's the primary reason.
Yeah,
and they employed the tactics of dumbing down the the population for the purposes of making them easy to manipulate.
Yeah,
it's a gradual process. You know, it's probably like that. They've been working at it. Probably, I think like the first time there was like a real global like tool was we're talking about like Rockefeller, J.P. Morgan, like these dudes. Like I think that's when it really got going.
Yeah,
like they saw a vision. They had a vision for the world, and Gates and all these guys. This is just the next generation of those people. They're just continuing, obviously with their own, with their own input. But everybody what's the worst? It's like people who project things into the future.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's projected that in the year 2080 there's going to be like 100 trillion kabillion people, on the surface of the earth or something like this kind of stuff. Like this is what drives the mindset of the people call themselves globalists.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of them really think that they're doing something good.
Yeah.
That they're doing what needs to be done. Just
Yeah.
like what's his name? Like John Cusack in that, in that clip that you played the other day when he was, he took the initiative.
Yep.
That's what these people are like. There are people who we stupidly gave like a lot of money and power to.
Yep.
Right. And we didn't check them. Okay. And then somehow they got it into their head, ministering angels, that they have the money, they have the resources, they have the power, and they have the initiative, and they have the will to complete it. They get really brave.
Yeah.
Because they don't, the last time they spoke to anybody who makes, less than 80,000 a year was 20 years ago. Right? Anybody, forget 80,000. No one comes near them who makes less than like $500,000. Right? So they're safe, essentially. Like no one's going to stab them. Understand? So they stay in these like echo chambers and these little, gated communities, right? These like, and then they take the initiative bravely,
Yep.
And here we are, man. That it's unfortunately this issue with Black entertainment and art and its deterioration is the root of it is the same root of what caused Schmovid.
Yeah.
And Schmausy.
Yeah.
And the Schmaxine. It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
It's all part of the same hydra.
Yeah. So the question is now, let's talk about the whole Ham thing. I mean, because there's a lot of people that have seemed to say, racist usually, and they'll use the Torah or the Bible. They'll say,
well, I found something. Can I read it?
Yeah, please.
So I have not pre-read this. So we're in uncharted waters here.
Yeah.
So this is there's this website which Judaism.stackexchange.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then for some reason there's like it says Mi Yodea. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like,
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a person here who asked the question, exactly how much of the curse of Ham concept is a Jewish idea?
Yeah.
So one person, the first response says that the actual curse was placed on Canaan, Ham's what many opinions say to be Ham's fourth son.
Yeah.
The curse of Ham is really not found in the Torah, meaning of Ham being cursed directly.
Yeah.
That right there, and I think we both knew that. I mean, that right there needs to be so. But he's not really talking about what is the curse. Okay. So he continues. Indeed, Ham's sons were Cush, Mitzrayim, right? Who's Egypt, right? Put, which might be Russia, and Canaan.
Yeah.
Okay. Whom the curse affected. So Cush begat Nimrod, who was the first emperor before the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, this person is saying that the curse is not on a specific group of people. I think this is Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch that he spoke about this. The curse is not upon a specific group of people, but upon those who improperly allow their passions to rule them.
Yeah.
Right. So basically, in biblical literature and in the language of Chazal, right? Like the B'nai Nevi'im, for instance, right? The sons of the prophets. They were not actual, like literal children of the prophets. They were those who wanted to become prophets.
Yeah.
Right. And they practiced the prophetic tradition. right? In the attempt to become prophets. So basically, if you say that the B'nai Canaan were cursed, the primary explanation here, the meaning, is that those who are like him, those who live their life like him.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's number one. So it says here, Rashi, there's a Rashi, well, this is a translation by this person who's answering the question. Cursed be Canaan. That's in Genesis chapter 9, verse 25, he said, and he said, quote, cursed be Canaan, he shall be a slave among slaves to his brethren. So Rashi is commenting on that. It says, cursed be Canaan. So here's Rashi's words. You have caused me to be incapable. He's speaking, this is Rashi speaking in as if he's Noah, right? This is Noah speaking to his children. It says, you have caused me to be incapable of begetting another fourth son. That's from a midrash, Genesis Rabbah, right?
Yeah.
A fourth son to serve me. Okay, so basically the sin that was committed somehow prevented Noah from having a fourth son. And then it continues, Rashi continues, cursed be your fourth son, that he should minister to the children of these older ones, Shem and Japhet, upon whom the burden of serving me has been placed from now on. So that's from Genesis Rabbah. So he's basically, because Canaan is Ham's fourth son, right? So it's Mida Keneged Mida, in a sense.
Yeah.
But you didn't let me have a fourth son, so cursed be your fourth son.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we don't leave it at that. There's Canaan himself had a lot to do with this. Okay, so Rashi continues. Now, what did Ham see? Right, it says Ham saw, like in the text of the Torah. What did Ham see? What reason did he have that he would castrate Noah? So he said to his brothers, quote, the first man, Adam, had two sons, and one killed the other, so as to inherit the world. And our father has three sons, and he still desires a fourth, meaning like, he's going to create more conflict.
Yeah.
Right? It's hard enough with the three of us. Okay. So Rav Hirsch points out, Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch points out that this is a reflection on those who allow their sensuality to control them, meaning like, cursed be Canaan, right? Who's he talking about? So he says, here are his words. He says, when Noah woke up and got to know of Ham's behavior, his first thought was, the principle that showed itself here in Ham can and may and will for, never be the ruling one.
Mm-hmm.
Raw, hot sensuality, which has no control over itself, which has lost all reserve and respect for anything spiritually high, is unfit for ruling. It's not fit for freedom. Anybody who's stuck in that mindset is automatically a slave. Right? It in itself is unfruitful. Right? It doesn't create progress or blessing, and it bears ruin. And he said, freedom is only achieved and retained by those who can master and control themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So the curse of the curse. So that's the basic thing of the curse. So now we're going to move on to another person, another answer. Okay. So this guy says the short answer to this is no. That this whole thing about the curse of Ham becoming black or something like that is not a Jewish concept.
Yeah.
As Saba Hillel already pointed out, there was no curse on Ham, but on a very specific nation called Canaan. But I disagree with his statement that the curse was not upon a specific nation. Indeed, there was a curse upon the Canaanites, but on the Canaanites only that lived in the Middle East. Like the people who lived on the land of Israel, that they became known as the Canaanites. First of all, they weren't even supposed to be there because Israel was part of Shem's allotment.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the Ramban, Nachmanides, right?
Yeah.
He comments on Bereshis chapter 10, on Genesis chapter 10, verse 26, explains that the Torah here is justifying the mitzvah of conquering Israel. The moral of the story is that since Canaan messed up, right, 7 nations of Canaan, right? Canaan, his children became because they messed up, they became our slaves and subordinate to us.
Yeah.
Thus, we, by divine rule, must rule over them. The Torah is surely not saying anything about the entire black race.
Yeah.
Okay. The Torah never endorses this view and never implies that Egyptians or other African nations are cursed, or that their enslavement should be propagated. This concept was invented much later and has no biblical or Jewish basis. But of course, those who believe in the enslavement of blacks will always use, biblical stuff as evidence to support their claims. Okay, let's see if anybody else said something. Ironically, according to historian David Breon Davis, I don't know who that is, Abarbanel played a pivotal role in providing the conceptual basis for black slavery.
Mhm.
The great Jewish philosopher, and we don't know if this is true, folks, it's just somebody writing something.
Yeah.
The great Jewish philosopher and statesman Isaac ben Abarbanel, having seen many black slaves, both in his native Portugal and in Spain, merged Aristotle's theory of natural slaves with the belief that the biblical Noah had cursed and condemned to slavery both his son Ham and his young grandson Canaan. Barbanel concluded that the servitude of animalistic, what quote unquote animalistic black Africans should be perpetual. I doubt that, because I think we should look into the Barbanel directly.
Yeah.
It sounds like, according to a historian, right there, my alarm bells go
According
off.
to a guy who hates from people,
Yeah,
let's attribute that.
right. And probably it might just hate Jews, period.
Yeah.
Okay, so the source is David Breon Davis, Inhuman Bondage, the Rise and Fall of Slavery of the blah, blah, blah. Okay. So he says, I don't know where the Abarbanel expresses his view, but you'll see it's not a modern concept.
Yeah, listen, before you continue, I need 30 seconds to put clothing in a dryer.
Great.
I shall return. I apologize again. All right, back.
Yeah, man.
Sorry. It's gonna be edited for pauses.
Yeah, did you keep track of where the pauses are happening?
Yeah, more or less. I mean,
All right, so I'll continue. That's okay. Okay. So, okay. So somebody here is writing, Judaism has always advocated equality as all people were created in the image of God. In Genesis chapter 9, verse 20 through 27, we are told that Noah plants a vineyard and becomes drunk. After certain events unfold, Noah curses his grandson Canaan. But Canaan wasn't alive during the flood. Noah curses his grandson Canaan to be a slave. So this is the lowest level. Why does Noah make this curse? In any event, the tale seems to justify the conquest of Canaan. Slaves own nothing. So the Israelites could take what they please and do with them as they want. This is some person writing this. Thus, the servility of the curse that Noah pronounces to Ham through Canaan is that all of his descendants will become slaves. Okay, so the person writing this doesn't sound like they're very educated. By the way, let's talk about the slavery of the Canaanites. So basically what happened was like this. If a Canaanite agreed to be a slave, they in some ways they had to kind of agree to it, because they had to accept to become, to reject idolatry and to follow certain mitzvahs, right? If they continued, worshiping idols and sacrificing children, then they couldn't even be a slave to an Israelite.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of a strange institution. And if for some reason, if an Israelite would free his slave, that Canaanite slave automatically becomes a Jew according to Jewish law. Okay, so which is odd. Like, why? What's the point? Like, if this type of slavery was purely just kind of, let's do what we want with these people, and it's purely like, economical, right? We just force somebody else to do the labor that we need done, then you wouldn't have all of these intricate halachot, these like laws associated with them. So it shows that this is really a side point, but in general, the type of slavery that was going on in ancient Israel was specifically with Canaanites, right, was some kind of spiritual process, which is supposed to end with, the Canaanite himself rising up and becoming an Israelite. It's kind of like what do they call it when they're purifying like metal? Like a specific word. They're whatever. It'll come to me. Tempering, maybe. Right? They're purifying. So it was to benefit the Canaanite, clearly. Okay.
Yeah. Here it says impure metals can be purified by electrolysis.
I don't think that's the
Or
word.
refining metals.
Refining. I know. That's what I was. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Seems like a simple, straightforward word, but sometimes.
Yeah. Metallurgy, refining.
Right, but that means that God wants that to happen, and it's so important to him that he set up this whole institution for that to occur.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. And also there's a lot, the type of people who are familiar with what was going on in Israel, like the laws of slavery, like you weren't allowed to abuse your slave. You weren't allowed to rape your slave.
You weren't allowed to do. It was almost like not even a slave. It was almost like an au pair kind of situation. The person lives in your house.
Right. No,
like a live-in nanny kind of thing.
The word slave is actually a misnomer when it comes to what was going on in ancient Israel.
Yeah.
The word they used was eved. Eved.
Yeah.
Eved actually just means assistant.
Yeah.
But it is a forced assistance. It's
like
not
like Eved Hashem, like we're of the Hashem.
Yeah. But it is forced. It's not, I mean, it is a bondage. It's not, it's not, but so it's not, there were important like laws, like, so one of the main points to have a Canaanite slave, right, for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
was for the Israelite to be a good example,
Yeah.
right? So if you have an Israelite who's abusing their eved,
Yeah.
so they're essentially, sabotaging the whole process, the
Yeah.
refinement process.
Yeah.
Okay, and in ancient Israel, if you transgress the Torah, there would be an immediate spiritual response.
Yeah.
A good example is tzarat.
Yeah.
Tzarat is incorrectly translated as leprosy.
Yeah.
It was a spiritual disease, meaning it had a physical effect. So basically, if a person would speak lashon hara, if they would gossip,
Yeah.
so there would be an immediate spiritual response. And what would happen is there would be these white spots that appear on their house.
Yeah.
I think on the inner walls of their home.
Yeah.
And then they would have to have like a Kohen come and inspect these white spots. And then the Kohen was able to determine what, is it mold or is it tzarat? They could tell the difference.
Yeah.
So if it turned out to be tzarat, then the Kohen tells the person how they have to repent, what they have to do to repent.
Yeah.
If the person does not repent, then again, they're going to get the white spots. Now they appear on their clothing.
Yeah.
Okay. And if this continues, it ends up on the skin.
Yeah.
So there was it was a very high level of, compared to us right now, it was a very high level spiritual reality in ancient Israel, where there was like a direct response to people, to what they did. You didn't have to wait generations, to get, some kind of, to pay off an old debt, to settle, to balance the books. It happened immediately.
Yeah.
And even though that's, painful, but at least it's sort of like, it shows you that God is having like like a real-time conversation with you.
Yeah.
So, but we don't have that now.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was when this whole
called instant karma.
Yeah, that's what we right.
Yeah.
So it was in that type of environment that this Eved situation was, you know what I mean? So you can't have like, an Israelite like, breaking the law and harming their Eved, because there's going to be an immediate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to clarify that point. That was a side point anyway. So we're trying to find information about this idea that Noah cursed Ham or Canaan, and part of the curse was them becoming black. Okay, so I found something else. Hold on a second. One second. Okay. All right, here's an Aish article. When Noah became drunk and uncovered, wasn't it his son Ham? Okay, so this is focused on who was cursed, not what the curse is. Hang on. You got anything, Greg? Like, you looking?
Hold on a second. What am I looking at?
We're looking for this for the origin of this idea that part of the curse of that Noah put on Canaan was being black.
I mean,
by the way, this is something I can answer something right away that I know myself. The Canaanites were not black.
Yeah.
All right.
Here, there's africa.thegospelcoalition.org. The curse of Ham, getting it horribly wrong.
No, I'm looking for Jewish sources.
It's okay. So fine. So, it's interesting because there's not a lot of.
So Cush, one of Ham's sons, Cush, I don't know if he was black, but the black people come from Kush, like that.
Yeah.
That is well accepted.
Well, in Hebrew, it's like kushim, like it's like this kind of, I mean, it is a little derogatory term. But,
Well, I mean, in modern Israel, if it's used derogatorily, then that's, I don't know, but
yeah.
in biblical and in rabbinic literature,
Yeah.
a Kushi is just a person from Kush,
Yeah.
a black person,
Yeah.
generally.
Yeah.
Okay, like for instance, there's ideas that Moshe's wife,
Yeah.
Zipporah,
Yeah.
she was from Midian. That's not Kush, but she
Yeah.
was very dark.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh,
but
here you go. Here you go. This is the Torah.com. This is an
No, no, dude. The Torah.com. I
Oh,
don't.
good.
I think that's a
Okay, like a
academic trap.
Is it because conservative, whatever BS?
No, I mean they go by, they absorb
Bible
the
criticism.
Bible criticism and the academic.
But can
Basically,
I read you what?
they accept, like, the whole thing about, like, oh, Noah, the story in the Bible, it was
Yeah.
based on an older story. It's a retelling. Like they
But can I read this? This seems actually interesting. Can I just read it and we can make
you can read it, but I want people
saying-
to understand.
Yeah.
Just give me a second.
Yeah.
When me and Greg are talking about, like, the Jewish perspective, we're talking about the classical Jewish perspective,
Yeah.
which includes the idea that the Torah was written
Yeah.
by God. It is a divine document that could not have been manufactured by man.
Yeah.
The people, the source that he's about to read from, does not accept that.
Yeah.
That's it. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is it's entitled Noah, Ham, and the Curse of Canaan. Who did what to whom in the tent? And is a new solution to what?
But it's not going to talk about blackness.
I don't know.
All right, give it a shot.
Let's see. I don't know. Professor Rabbi David Frankel. Okay, whatever. Following the story of the flood, Noah plants a vineyard and gets drunk in his tent. Okay, gets into the whole thing. Why does Noah express such a severe curse for the seemingly minor sin of observing his nakedness? What did Noah's youngest son do? As already anticipated by the rabbis and suggested by some modern scholars, an earlier version of our story probably related a much more severe crime, the homosexual rape of his father when he was inebriated. This indeed is the kind of offense that would most naturally provoke the severe reaction depicted in the text. This assumption also accounts for the formulation of verse 24. Noah woke from his drunken stupor and knew that his youngest son had done to him. If his son had only looked at him, how would Noah have known, quote unquote, when he awoke, this had occurred? Further, the final words had done to him. Okay, so this gets into this whole kind of episode. Let's see. He goes, okay. Shem and Yafet's mitzvah and blessings, secondary editions. I suggest that the text was revised by an editor. Okay, so yeah, this guy gets into who took the euphemism seeing nakedness and literal. Okay, so basically this person doesn't believe that Hashem wrote this.
Yeah.
But he's getting into here. Why curse Canaan and not Ham? The original story about forced rape of a father would explain why Noah would curse his youngest son so harshly, but Canaan is not Noah's youngest son. Yafet is. In fact, Canaan isn't Noah's son at all. What?
He's a grandson.
Okay. For this reason, many scholars suggest that.
By the way, in ancient times, it was accurate. A grandfather was also a father.
Yeah. Oh, so here goes on. For this reason, many scholars suggest that an earlier form of the story, Canaan must have been Noah's youngest son, not Yafet. Now he gets into redactions and all this kind of stuff. But it doesn't talk about the blackness thing. Hold on.
I'm still looking too. Like, we're gonna find something.
Yeah, here. A story about Ham and his son Canaan. Thus, I suggest that the story was not originally about Noah at all, but about Ham, and its original place was likely in chapter 10 as part of the account of the descent of the Hamite nations.
Wait, what are you reading?
He's just like talking about like chronology. But he says the sons of Ham were Cush, Egypt, Put, and Canaan. Okay. So, but where would you find the blackness thing? I don't understand. Like, I mean, that's only.
So we don't have. So that's okay. It's good that you said that, because we don't have.
We don't actually have an implication that the person.
We don't have it in the text, and there's no solid statement from the rabbis that this is the case.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There might have been some statements of later rabbis, meaning like maybe going back like 500 years or 400 years, right? Who were racist.
Yeah.
And they didn't like black people, or they didn't like, whatever, because when black slaves started coming into their areas,
Yeah.
and they didn't like them, so
Yeah.
they said, oh, surely this, I think this is just like an assumption made by people in later times. We don't actually have any statements.
Because they look how whatever, there's some people in certain neighborhoods in New York behave. I'm talking about like from Jews who,
What do you mean?
call black people certain names, so they extrapolate from that.
I don't know what you mean.
Do I really have to go there, man? I don't want to.
I guess not, but I have no idea what you're talking
It's going to be a total Farrakhan if I do, like a total
about.
horrible.
So basically, you're going to say that there's people in the Jewish community.
There's a lot of people when I lived in Crown Heights that use the word Schwarze. A lot.
Schwarze is not a
Dude.
it's not a derogatory. It just means black.
They used it in a obviously not favorable connotation.
That reminds me of Louis C.K.
Like, for
He was
sure.
like- he
I
was
hate
like-
to say it. I mean,
it reminds me of Louis C.K. And one of the things that he did, one of the things he said, he's
okay.
like, I don't recall what the context was, but I think he was actually talking about Obama, talking about Jews,
Yeah.
and like the way he said Jew, like he was talking about different people, and then he said Jews, he said it a certain way.
Yeah.
So is that what you're talking about? Like saying a word that isn't controversial, but you say it in a certain way to make it
Not just even certain way. They are referring to a particular, like, they're talking about behaviors of people and robberies and crime and.
But wait a minute, wait a minute. It's happening. That's true. That is, most of the crimes in Crown Heights against Jews are committed by black people.
No, but
It's just a
correct.
fact.
But when okay, dude, listen. This is something that
Listen, I'm not.
a lot of old Lubavitcher men in Crown Heights are not fan of black people. Is that? I'm just stating this outright.
Yeah, I know that. I'm not.
That's it.
I wasn't. I'm just saying this. The
Period. End of sentence.
Hang on. The specific things that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, have to be addressed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when they express that dislike, they say that's Schwarze over there, whatever.
Yeah.
That's why when
You know what
Jackie
that is?
Mason-
You know what that is?
What?
That's unfortunately when people do not transcend
Yeah.
what's going on. Meaning,
Correct,
like, what is the common behavior?
Yeah.
Okay. Because trust me, the black people in Crown Heights say things similar and much worse about Jews.
They say what is it called? Jaime,
Okay.
Jew.
And they do more than say.
I know. Dude, listen, a friend of mine got he lives in Washington Heights, up Upper West, above Upper West. And he takes the subway all the time from work. He works like in Midtown or downtown. And he wears his kippah openly. And he was on the subway the other day, 2 days ago, and he got punched in the face by a kid who was like, he said anti-Semitic statement.
Black
kid.
Yeah. By the way,
And he punched him in the face.
Most of the anti-Semitic incidents that occur in New York are from the black community.
Yeah, unfortunately,
That's a fact too.
I wish it wasn't so, but that's the case.
Okay, so I'm not saying, I'm not making blanket statements about black people in general, but there is this phenomenon, and it cannot be ignored.
By the way, it falls in. You remember the whole thing with Jackie Mason, how he used the word Schwarze in his act, and Dinkins got upset, and everybody got upset, and he's like, "What? It means black in Yiddish."
It does. It
But then,
actually.
but then they were like, "Oh, come on!" Like, but we know the context that you used it in, and then this whole like brouhaha began. I've been trying to look for the clip. I don't think you're gonna find it, but here. But there's like articles here. Jackie Mason, Dinkins. Here. There you go. New York Times article from 1989. My parents actually saw one of those shows. It's called World According to Me.
Can I make a statement at this point? Like, I feel like I got to preempt something.
Okay.
For those who might wonder why we chose this topic,
Yeah. It's all.
first of all, F you. Second of all, it was just randomly.
Uh-huh.
And that's how this works. We think of random stuff and we talk about it without fear or without any.
By the way, we're doing right now what hasn't been done Dafka since Jackie Mason's show, where he brought on blacks and Jews to talk about their issues. And it was intense.
Oh yeah, right. He had that talk show, right?
Yes, the Jackie Mason show where he brought on
that was crazy.
Like here. That's where he brought on like Al Sharpton, and then he fought another black guy. You know. Yeah, he had a show, Race Relations. Jackie Mason show and Race Relations. It's a whole thing. It's like an hour show. And then you had like what's his name? Curtis Sliwa there, you know, because he's part of the whole like Angels. What's his name?
Yeah.
Guardian Angels. Yeah, he had a show. And here it says Jackie Mason show, sexual harassment. Jackie Mason show, audience issues, like people like yelling at each other. On gay rights. Dude, he had like Law and Justice. Marge Schott. Remember like the owner of the Cincinnati Reds? She was like a racist. Whatever. It was like a long time ago.
No, I don't remember that.
It's like 1990. Yeah, crazy. But here, I want to read this article. 1989, October 2nd, 1989. An earlier Jackie Mason racial slur against Dinkins is disclosed. Okay, this is New York Times, so obviously, okay. Jackie Mason and his use of racially sensitive language continues to trouble the mayoral campaign of Rudolph Giuliani. Almost a week after the comedian was forced to withdraw from the campaign for making harsh remarks about blacks and Jews in a newspaper. In the October 9th issue of Newsweek, Mr. Mason, a keen supporter of Giuliani, is quoted as using a Yiddish word with racially pejorative connotations, calling David Dinkins a fancy Schwarzer with a mustache. According to, he kind of was. He played tennis, man.
Dude, whether right or wrong, it's funny.
It's fun. Like funny is funny. Dinkins went to see like Lubavitcher Rebbe. He's a fancy, whatever. According to The Joys of Yiddish by Leo Rosten, Schwarzer and Schwarze, to mean Negro man and woman, became inside words among Jews, cryptonyms for Negro servants or employees. Uses have declined. Since the growth
that I know for a fact that's complete bullshit. Schwarze is literally just the term just means black.
Listen, I'm going to continue reading. Since the growth of the civil rights movement, Mr. Rawson writes, these uses have declined. Mr. Mason made the remark during a luncheon with Mr. Giuliani and 4 Newsweek writers on October 31st. Yesterday, Mr. Giuliani said he had not heard Mr. Mason's remark at the luncheon and was informed of it only later by a campaign aide. But according to a Newsweek account, after the statement was made, Giuliani joined in nervous laughter, making no attempt to rebuke Mason. The October 9th issue of Newsweek is being distributed today. Mr. Mason's statement was almost a month before he was forced out of the Giuliani campaign for telling the Village Voice that Jewish support for Mr. Dinkins was based on guilt and that Jews were sick with complexes. Yes, correct. Last week, Mr. Giuliani said he never before heard Mr. Mason make statements like those quoted in the Village Voice. Mr. Mason, after refusing to apologize for his remarks, did so on Thursday. The furor over Mr. Mason's comments came in a week after which Mr. Giuliani increased his attacks on Mr. Dinkins' record and his relationship with Reverend Jesse Jackson, attempting to capitalize on some people's concerns about Mr. Jackson, whose comments about Palestinian rights alarmed many Jews. Mr. Giuliani last week ran an advertisement in a Jewish newspaper hinting that Mr. Jackson would play a role in any Dinkins administration. So basically, this is at a time when Jews in New York actually had like some sort of seichel about these kind of things and voted against, these people. Today they wouldn't. Before marching yesterday in the Pulaski Day parade up Fifth Avenue, an angry Mr. Giuliani stabbed the air with an index finger and denied hearing the Mason remark during the small luncheon. He also questioned the significance of the incident, saying, I think the whole thing has been blown out of proportion.
As I recall, there were 4 reporters there, said Mr. Giuliani, who was running on the Republican and Liberal Party lines. I emphasize that the 4 reporters did not report it, which means they didn't hear it or they didn't attach any significance to it at the time. Exactly. The editor of Newsweek, Maynard Parker, said yesterday that if he had known about the remark at the time, we would have published it 4 weeks ago. Yes, this is a virtue signal. Mr. Giuliani said Mr. Mason had left the luncheon early. Mr. Giuliani said he was told of the remark shortly after by his campaign spokesman, Charles Perkins, who was worried about that the statement can be taken the wrong way. Mr. Giuliani said he and Perkins went immediately to talk with Mr. Mason's manager, Jill Rosenfeld, that's actually became his wife, about the incident and strongly objected to Mr. Mason's use of quote-unquote offensive language. She told us it was not meant that way, Giuliani said, and we told her that Jackie should not use that language, and she agreed. Ms. Rosenfeld did not return repeated phone calls yesterday seeking comment. Mr. Dinkins also marched in the parade yesterday. When asked to comment on Mr. Giuliani's assertion that he had not heard the remark, Dinkins smiled and said,
It's amazing. It's amazing how long ago this bullshit
yeah,
started.
listen. Dinkins smiled and said, put down, he laughed. I do not know whether he heard it or not, Mr. Dinkins said, but there were only 6 or 8 people at the lunch. Schwarzer is a derogatory term. That's the one thing there's no question about. Mr. Giuliani said Mr. Mason had attended the luncheon to explain his role in the campaign, especially his appearance in a commercial critical of Mayor Edward Koch. Giuliani, a former federal prosecutor, said the exchange between the editors and Mr. Mason was rapid, and quote, I did not pick up on the use of the word. He said there was some debate about how offensive the word is, but it's not a word I would use. Mr. Giuliani said he felt the press had not focused enough attention on Mr. Dinkins' record, especially his failing to file income tax returns for 4 years, almost 20 years ago. There's definitely a double standard, he said at a campaign stop in Flushing, Queens. Mr. Dinkins had said that he failed to file federal, state, and city income tax forms for 4 years in the late 60s and early 70s. He eventually paid the taxes with interest. No criminal charges were filed against him. Mr. Giuliani defended Mr. Mason as a caring man, and he said he had no regrets about using him to make campaign appearances. He's taken some unfair hits, Mrs. Giuliani said of Mr. Mason. He's a comedian. So,
Yeah, man.
yeah, this guy in 1989, man, like,
Dude, I can't stand it. I can't stand it anymore.
Yeah.
But I found something. I actually found something
Yeah.
having to do, where this rumor about the curse of Ham.
okay,
I found something. I don't know. I guess, it's not very well. Actually, there's a link here. Okay, this is Wikipedia.
Mhm.
This is a Wikipedia article. It's called The Curse of Ham.
Mhm.
Okay, and dude, check this out. Go to section 3.3, classical Judaism.
Wait, where am I?
Actually, no, early Judaism.
I gotta go to Wikipedia. Wait, where am I going first? I'm sorry.
Wikipedia, Curse of Ham.
Okay. And then I go down, all the way down, right?
Go to early Judaism and Islam.
Uh-huh.
That's the name of this. Somebody named the section that way.
One second.
Okay. So it says, while Genesis 9 never says that Ham was black,
Mhm.
he became associated with black skin through folk etymology.
Mm.
Folk etymology is a change in a word or phrase resulting from the replacement of an unfamiliar form by a more familiar one.
Yeah.
The form or the meaning of an archaic, foreign, or otherwise unfamiliar word is reinterpreted as resembling more familiar words, which means inaccuracy
Yeah.
when it comes to Torah.
Yeah.
Okay. So through folk etymology, deriving his name from a similar but actually unconnected word meaning dark or brown. Okay. The next stage are certain fables according to an ancient Jewish traditions. According to one legend, he's probably talking to Midrashim.
Yeah.
In the Babylonian Talmud, God cursed Ham because he broke a prohibition on having sex aboard the ark.
Yeah.
And quote, the fable says, was smitten in his skin.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean he went black.
Yeah, it's just like it could have been Dafka Tzarats.
It could have, right?
Where do they get this?
It could have been chicken pox.
Yeah, it could have been monkeypox, actually.
Yeah, it could have been. Okay, so actually, you know what? I'm gonna look up the.
Gosh,
It says Sanhedrin
dear Lord.
108b. I'm gonna open that up right now. Let's see what it says. Okay, so they said to him, if so, we will not clear a path through the vineyards. Okay, that's not what it is. 1 second. I'm gonna do a search on the page. So Ham. Let's see. Okay, so the sages taught 3 people violated the directive and engaged in intercourse while in the ark. All of them were punished for doing so. Oh no, he didn't say 3 people. He said three things.
Yeah.
The dog was punished,
Mm-hmm.
and the raven,
Mm-hmm.
and Ham, son of Noah.
Mhm.
The dog was punished in that it is bound.
Mhm.
The raven was punished that it spits. And Ham was afflicted in his skin. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see the commentary here. None of the commentary is in English. I suck. Okay, all right, hold on. Ora Chaim on Genesis. 1 second. Noah, blah, 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 blah. All right, so yeah, I can't get any more specific information. I was hoping there'd be something that I could see. Okay, so so he was smitten in the skin. Could have been chicken pox. Could have been,
Mhm.
whatever. Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let's see what else. Okay, so according to Babylonian Talmud, God cursed Ham because he broke the prohibition. According to another, Noah cursed him because he castrated his father. Okay, that's the reasoning.
Yeah.
Although the Talmud refers only to Ham, the version brought in a midrash goes further to say that Ham, quote Ham, that Cush came from him. There's a statement, it says Ham. Basically, Cush came from Ham. So what is that's some people interpret that to mean blackness. I don't know why that's the way it's interpreted, but apparently that statement, not about blackness, but that Cush came from Ham, is in Yalkut Shimoni. Hang on, let me find. Give me a second. Let me find out what Rafi is. Can you hear him crying?
A little bit. No, not crying. I just heard like a baby's voice for like a second.
Okay, hold on. Wait, do you have his pacifier? Yeah. There you go. Nope. Barran.
Oh, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No problem.
That's what you're saying.
Barran. Okay. Yeah, man. So it seems pretty. Look, whatever we read so far. Let's just boil this down. Let's stop kidding around for a second.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be much pointing to the whole thing about the curse of Ham and
Yeah.
being black. There doesn't seem to be
Yeah.
almost anything to that whatsoever, at least from the Jewish perspective. Okay, which is the correct one. I mean, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Okay. There could be some statements from some scholars who didn't put much thought into it, and they didn't like black people, so they made that association themselves. But from the actual sources, the actual tradition, we don't have anything on that. So I would say myth busted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, so we saw. I think we did something here. I think we did something.
Yeah. So basically, there's no basis for it, and there's basically almost, I guess you could say, no basis for then any. It's almost like a subconscious thing that a lot
a lot of African Americans think that they are going to be perpetually oppressed. It's almost like they got it from this whole thing, from this canard.
You think that this whatever this is,
It was like subconsciously ingrained in them almost. Not that they believe it, not that they agree, but it's just like over the years, like somebody subconsciously ingrained it at them. You know, Martin Luther King tried to liberate them with like, you know, Zecher L'Tziat Mitzrayim, basically. You know, remember that you left slavery. That's what the Jews say all the time, and that's how they are able to overcome things despite, you know, centuries of oppression, because they remember that they left slavery. So he tried, but this whole thing has been perpetuated by whomever, you know, for such a long time, that they believe it. Like, I was listening to Paul Mooney today. He said that, what did he say? He's like, oh yeah, people complain that like we're like we just want to sit around all day and do nothing. Well, he's like, well, we were slaves for, no, he's like, we worked already against for free, you know, for 500 years. So we're gonna sit around.
And who said this again? Who was it?
Paul Mooney.
Oh yeah, that sounds like Mooney.
Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, we're gonna sit around. Okay.
You know what else? You know what else?
The Jews got their ass kicked for 2,000 years, but we're not sitting around. We have every reason to sit around, but we're not sitting around.
Well, I can't say we aren't sitting around. Sometimes I sit around.
Listen, even I was gonna say,
but you're right.
Even the laziest of us,
yeah,
are, you know, do stuff,
yeah.
or not the laziest, but like the more complacent, let's say. Like,
I will say one thing that, you know, I actually even remember Rabbi Kessin,
yeah,
talking about this, like this topic right here, this like rumor,
Yeah.
that doesn't seem to have any basis whatsoever in the tradition, in the Masorah, meaning in the Torah tradition,
Yeah.
right? Is actually is one of the reasons why America is in such trouble right now.
Yeah.
Because do you remember when he said that one of the reasons America is being punished is because they committed the sin
Yeah.
of kidnapping.
Of kidnap. Yeah, you're not supposed to kidnap. Yeah.
And who do they kidnap? African slaves.
No, but he said that the punishment was a civil war. That was already, you know, that whole thing.
No, but the punishment for that was, I mean, according to the Torah, right? Like if somebody were to kidnap, that would be death. Actually, the punishment.
Yeah, Hayav Lisa. So meaning the civil war. He's like, do you? And then he told me this also. He said on Shur, he's like, you know how many people, you know, the civil war, just people, you know.
Civil War was the bloodiest war in American history, far more than World War II. Like like I've heard estimates between 600 and 800,000 dead. You know, so that war was about slavery.
You're telling me that that's more dead Americans than in World War II, really?
Yeah, I think. I mean, there's a lot, but I think it was like 100,000 Americans.
Hold on, how many American soldiers died in World War II? 400,000 died. 420,000 died. 415,000 Americans.
Really?
Yeah.
American troops?
Yeah. Military deaths, dude. Soviet Union. I mean, the estimate in terms of military is anywhere.
Something's off. How many American
Yeah.
soldiers died?
Civil War. Let's see, Civil War. Civil War. 620,000 men. Wow, it was more than World War II. Wow.
World War II. Yeah, actually, it says World War II, 405,000. Oh, that's. I literally saw an estimate that said 100 something thousand.
No, but like it's still Civil War is more.
500,000 Americans, almost 500,000 Americans died in World War II. That's insane.
Mhm.
No, but even that, you know, like Civil War was just like, it was a monster. You know?
Yeah. Because you basically had like every able-bodied man on either side. you think about it.
Yeah.
Fighting
How
in
about
that.
this? Let's do a little. I'm just curious. What was the population of America during the Civil War?
Population during Civil War. Roughly, according to
1860 census, the Union had Union alone had a population of 19.2 million.
So that really puts, so that figure of 600 plus thousand.
Yeah. And Confederate was here, 5 border states. This is the Mason-Dixon states where was 3.5, and Confederate states had 8.7. So you add that up, that's like 20 plus, let's say, no, 20, 29, about 32 million people. 32 million. So like so 600,000, dude, that's crazy, man. It's a crazy percentage.
That makes it much worse.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Like a lot of, it's a point where like there was no, if you keep hearing the whole thing of like after World War II, like in Soviet Union, right? So 8 million, I don't know, 10 million soldiers died. And you keep hearing the thing of like there was just not enough men to marry, to procreate. It was probably the same thing in America, if you think about it.
Yeah, it sounds like it, man. I think like
it was the
just
same.
Like
concept.
you see pictures from that time, like you see a group of people, at least a couple of them are missing a leg, they're on crutches or something like that.
Yeah, dude, it's 2% of the country. 2% of the country died.
It's nuts. I remember, I mean, when you talk about the population of a country, you're also including women and children, right? I mean,
yeah.
So just think about just the men.
Yeah.
Crazy, absolutely crazy.
Yep.
So why did I talk about like the effect on America, right? Because slavery itself, which was, by the way, not an American institution, it was a worldwide institution. But just saying slavery itself was predicated on this rumor that blacks were, wherever this came from, that blacks were cursed to be slaves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's pretty relevant.
Yeah. No, of course.
We cleared it up.
Yeah. I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, we solved that.
Yeah.
Listen, what we haven't solved really, ultimately, I mean, we figured out what's going on really, but the thing is we haven't really solved it, so to speak, is how do you, if you look at the Black community, clearly there's a desire to improve things, however it is. But clearly there's almost like, it's almost like I don't want to say it's a lack of self-awareness, because there isn't, because you have a lot of people, for example, in the conservative Black movement who are aware of everything that we just outlined. And they're aware of the.
So when you say the Black community, I mean, it's not monolithic.
I know it's not a monolith. I know that. That's another issue, because you have, it's like you're talking about. This is something I always had a problem with. Like people say African American. Africa is a big ass continent, and there's different countries and different tribes and different hues and different people get pissed off and say, "Oh, you probably think all Black people are the same." Actually, I don't. That's not the point. They're not the same. They're not all the same.
So what are you trying to say? They're not unified? That they're
Dude, I mean, like I was watching this Apollo show thing, Apollo Theater, Steve Harvey's presenting, right? And I'm saying this as like an ignorant, non-Black person. Steve Harvey is a light-skinned Black guy. And I'm looking at the audience. A lot of the audience is very dark. From New York. He's a light-skinned Black guy from Cleveland. Where are his you know, how many white people does he have in his lineage versus, you know, the black people that were in the north? You maybe have a little less. Are they the same?
So now you're saying that, like, you know, if, well, I mean, I've heard that argument before, but basically
I'm not saying it's an argument. I'm saying it as a anthropological fact. Anthropological statement, rather.
You're saying that black people aren't all black. I mean, that's not. But basically,
I'm talking about in America. Yeah, they have white lineage. It's just a fact. Whether you want to.
No, but basically, see,
Yeah.
again, like making a community based on skin color,
Yeah,
right, is already
a problem. Yeah,
it's already a major problem.
dude, where did black people get the last names Jefferson and Washington and all this other stuff? From
No,
white guys.
No, but they're gonna say, and I think actually they're right, that those are slave names. Meaning, like,
no.
that was the name of their
It is a
slave
name.
master.
No, it is. What I'm saying is, I don't know about you, man, but I haven't seen a white person with the last name Jefferson in ever. You know what I mean?
I actually don't know what you mean.
What I'm saying,
there's plenty of white people named
What I'm
Jefferson.
saying is that some people, some of the black people in this country have, you know, a lot of white lineage background, and some don't, which means that they're not all the same.
Right.
That's it.
No, but culturally speaking, it was essentially accepted that if you aren't totally white, then you're basically black.
Yeah, and it's a wrongful.
I agree.
You know, what's it called? Designation, I guess I don't know what you call it. It's like it's the wrong path. Let's put it that way.
It is a wrong path.
Dude, you know that there's a pastor in he's a little bit of kind of weird guy in Harlem, and he had all these YouTube videos when Obama got elected in 2008. I forget his name. It's like a ministry in Harlem, one of these obscure, you know, whatever. And he was yelling and screaming at the top of his lungs about how Obama's mama is white, and he's from Africa. You know, his father is from Africa. His mama is white. You know what? Let me find this guy. Hold on.
Yeah, you know, like that's. I mean, he does have a good point. Like, Obama has no connection to Black
American blacks at all.
Yeah, nothing.
Oh, Pastor James David Manning. Yeah. See, it says community reacts to pastor's hate in the heart of Harlem. Al Jazeera Plus did a whole thing. Anti-gay pastor may lose church to LGBT group. MSNBC. Because he spoke against Obama. So basically,
they have to find something like yeah.
Here. James David. There. Crap. James. I want to play one of these videos from his ministry. That I remember like coming across his stuff, 2008, 2009, stuff like that. Yeah, black pastors crazy anti-Obama rant. Crazy, so crazy.
They already decided for you.
They said it's crazy. Yeah, with the title. Yeah, see, James Manning prays for Obama birthers. People who think that his what's it called here? No, but he had a whole page like his ministry. Hold on. Yeah.
Pastor Manning.
Young Turks. There you go. Oh, so they definitely here. You know what? Let's listen to. I don't want to listen to this idiot's preamble.
Either there's going to be a revolution, Patrick Henry style in America, where.
Dude, by the way, this is from like 2010. So far,
red-blooded, God-fearing, Jesus-loving Americans are going to stand up and say, "We're not going to take it no more."
It's 5 minutes long.
We're just not going to take it.
Okay.
And there's going to be riots in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
Worse than the riots in South Central Los Angeles after they acquitted the cops that beat up Rodney King. You think that and those black people rioted. You haven't seen anything. And I'm not advocating killing and murder and stealing and robbing. That's not what I'm advocating. I'm just telling you what people are going to do. People are sick of this. People are tired of the long-legged Mac Daddy, you know,
That's what they call Obama.
kicking them in the face every time he gets up lying to them. Then you got a bunch of, I don't know, suck-ups like the MSNBC News, ABC News, all these media types, everybody who's looking to be popular and get invited to the White House, sucking up to him all the time. It's sickening. I mean, it's downright sickening to watch this. You know, you can get these white folk all riled up here. I'm going to tell you something. They're going to come in, the white folk get riled up, you know, members of the NRA going to come into the black neighborhood. I'm telling you, you know, the people just tired of this. You know, white people are being pushed around, kicked to the curb, having their rights denied, being called a racist, being walked on, watching their tax dollars go to fund all kind of drug sales, prostitution, illegal immigration. I mean, y'all gonna push these white folk till they can't take it no more. I'm telling you. You fool around here with Obama, you're gonna let this long-legged Mac Daddy push these white folk. They're gonna come up out of Tennessee, and come up out of Oklahoma, come up out of Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, come up out of Oregon, and come out of Idaho, California. I'm telling y'all, you're pushing these white folk and you're pushing them. The long-legged Mac Daddy's pushing them and pushing them and pushing them. And they don't listen, you're going to push people to the point where they're not going to take it no more. These white folk are not going to take it.
Yo, can you stop it? Can you stop it?
Closing down their job.
Yo, we got to look up. I want to understand this term, Mac Daddy. I've heard it my whole life.
Like a pimp, like Mac Daddy, like Daddy Mac Daddy, like a pimp.
I mean, are you sure? Because I was like,
yeah. That's what he was referring to.
Long-legged.
Dude, but this guy's talking 12 years ago.
I remember him.
Yeah, tell me one thing he's saying that didn't come to pass.
Well, the white people did not rise up.
It looks like it might happen soon if they keep going like this.
It really doesn't.
You don't think so?
No. I'm saying I don't know, but it doesn't look that way. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? It seems like the psyop, the spell that was cast is quite strong.
Let's keep. I'm gonna keep playing.
You're shutting down their banks. You're telling them what they can and cannot do. You're giving billions of dollars to Acorn. You're taking their tax money and giving it to people to buy drugs. You're killing babies and you won't stop. You're telling lies and you're demoralizing our nation. You're destroying everything that has made this nation great. White folk getting ready to rise up. They don't want to take it no more. And I'm joining them. I am. I mean, you just can't keep pushing folk the way Obama's pushing white folk and the way black folk are pushing white folk. You can't keep doing that. I'm telling y'all, you better find a way to either get rid of Obama or these folk are going to rise up at the sound of a bird. They're going to rise up. And who can blame them? I mean, who can blame them? To build this nation and then have it given away, just given away, just thrown away, just given away by a long-legged half-breed, usurper, illegal alien, a man who isn't even a citizen, and everybody in the Congress knows that he's not a citizen. Dick Cheney knows he's not a citizen. And yet nobody will stand up. I'm telling you, white folk are ready to rise. And they should be. They should be. This don't make no doggone sense.
All right, man. This ain't this pastor show. This is Truth Fanatics. You know, we gotta talk. We have to talk too.
The kids are, man. Yeah, man.
Well, I mean, listen. The long-legged Mag Daddy is still pulling the strings to a certain extent.
To a certain extent.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna say, people like to say that this guy is he's pulling all the strings, but again, I don't think he's on the top of the totem pole.
But this is basically his third term. That we can safely say. That's obvious to at least us.
You know what Did you send the Rob Schneider clip to me?
Which one?
I think no, Rob Schneider. I think he was on Alex Jones, and he said
Hmm?
if Joe Biden was a dog, you'd put him down.
Oh my God. You said this like recently?
Rob Schneider today.
Oh my God. Hold on. Let me find this.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can even find this on what's it called? But
Just look on. You got to look on like Truth Social or Getter or something like that.
yeah. Hold on. Hold on. It's on Truth Social for sure.
Try Getter. See what happens.
Schneider. Oh, crap. That is crazy, man.
You found it?
No. Hold on. I didn't no.
If you find it, we're gonna have to end with this because it's like.
Where did you see this?
All right, let me find it. God, Greg, useless. Jamie, look it up.
No, like who sent it to you? Like who?
No, I saw it on Getter, like Getter or Truth Social. Just look, Alex Jones.
I'm looking. Videos here. Maybe just Rob Schneider. Maybe not Alex Jones. Maybe he was. No, I can't find it.
I'm looking at his Getter right now. I'm scrolling down to the. Oh man, it's not here. Because he has so many different things. He has like Alex Jones, InfoWars, and other stuff too. Hold on. Hang on. Was it on Getter? I got it. Okay. So I guess I'll send it to you by Facebook Messenger.
Hold on. Oh, here.
I can send it to you on Facebook Messenger right now.
Yeah, there you go. I saw it. Louder with Crowder.
No.
Rob Schneider tells the audience if Joe Biden was a dog,
I just sent it to you.
Okay. Oh my God, you put him down. Let's be honest about this. Oh, I see it here.
Let's be honest about this. If Joe Biden was a dog, you'd put him down. You just would. You'd have to.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And of course, he's going to get like railed for this because we live in the Soviet Union and comedians can't say anything about it. Anyway.
What does it mean to get railed?
He's gonna get blackballed, blacklisted.
What does that mean?
I don't know. He won't be able to perform. Anyway.
Okay, so that's something solid. They will for this. They will not allow him to work.
Yeah.
That could be.
Here, it says you'd have to. You just take him outside with a 5-iron. Yeah, what a beautiful sunset, Fido. Check that out, and it will be over with. You can do it. Oh, somebody posted a GIF, of him and Waterboy. Actually, if Biden was a dog, I think his name would be Rocks. For the rocks he leaves in his underpants. This is Crowder. The reaction from the left will be predictable. First, they're going to Jim Brewer him. There you go, and claim no one finds Rob Schneider funny. Then they are going to act like this was a threat against Joe Biden, even though it's a clear metaphor for a person who is old as F, who is A, old as F, B, having trouble functioning, and C, might need help to be put out of his misery by making Joey no longer president. If anything, it's a metaphor for the 64% of the Democratic voters who don't want him to run for re-election. Actually, it's up to 75% of Democrats who don't want to see him run for re-election. If anything, Rob Schneider is advocating for the humane thing to be done to old pudging head, as opposed to the people who control Biden that keep propping him up in front of the teleprompter. Schneider told a joke. They are guilty of elder abuse. Yeah.
They are, by the way.
Yeah. It's been elder abuse for the past 2 years.
It has been.
Yeah.
I didn't look into it that much, but I saw that one clip of them at the party. Obama and all these people were there, and no one was looking at him.
No one paid attention to him. They turned away from him.
And Biden was like, the worst was when Biden was like reaching out, and he was like trying to like tap Obama, and he's like, Obama was completely ignoring him.
He was like, what? Oh,
Can't believe what they've done.
Yeah.
Country.
Almost like
Yeah, man. So this topic, bro, I mean, it's not very interesting to me. So it's I mean, I suppose it is important because of the spiritual,
yeah.
The negative spiritual effect
How,
it's
how,
had
do-
on the
how
world
does
and
it
its
get-
country.
How does it get fixed? Like, how do you fix this? How do you fix the music? How do you fix the? See, this guy is writing. Oh, can I read to you what one of our viewers, plural of blue? One of
Sure.
our- Eddie Murphy is a perfect example of pop culture. Is where art and talent go to die. The slow death of mediocrity. My generation calls it selling out. True talent and art come from counterculture. That's what he said. It had 6 protons and 6 electrons, thus 666.66 represents carbon-based life forms. The mark or dollar money sign of the beast is a unit of currency. So when you see them issue a new digital coin, it's plagiarized from several ancient biblical texts. No offense, if you want to know what they plan and how they plan to carry it out, then you should read the BOR with modern eyes.
I feel like there's like a lot of missing text. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, he's like copying, pasting from
Yeah,
some
I don't
big
know.
thing, and you know, randomly kind of like I don't, you know,
I
is
don't
this
know.
is this meant to be understood like in a is this like one
I don't know. I have no idea.
string
Because, how does this get fixed, man? I mean, it just seems like I don't know. I'm like looking back as a kid and even in high school, it was just so good. And like the comedy and the music, just the my
It does-
favorite.
it doesn't get fixed. And again, I'll say that it doesn't have to. You know why?
Okay,
Because
it's part of the
there-
process.
no, because it's there in that time and space, which
Yeah.
we know we talked about yesterday is an actual location.
Yeah.
In the future, we're going to have access to time as a destination. We're going to treat it as a destination.
Right.
Because when Mashiach comes and we are returned to the Garden of Eden,
Yeah.
consciousness, reality,
Yeah.
we're going to have access to every point in time and space.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just going to be there. It's always going to be there.
Yeah.
And we can't fix it and we can't recreate it because everything that was there that caused it to come together the way that it did is unrepeatable. Like it's like a fingerprint, you know, you can't duplicate it.
Yeah.
And we didn't lose it, you know, it's there.
Yeah.
All right, for the time being, you know, we
Yeah.
got to listen to it, you know, we got to go on YouTube or not YouTube, but whatever. We can listen to
Yeah.
our old records and stuff
Yeah.
like that. You know, it
Well,
goes-
do stuff that's like underground, whatever.
yeah, I mean, look, there could be great music being made underground. Okay.
Yeah. No, there is. It is.
I'm not, you know, I'm not at the stage in my life where I can go and, you know, and investigate this whole thing.
Yeah.
But at least I have like the music that I did experience, and there's so much of it that it's almost
Yeah.
like I'm never gonna get like
Yeah.
bored.
Yeah, for
You know,
sure.
this because there's always this like I probably like I'm like a jukebox with
Yeah.
like 10,000 songs
Same.
that are good.
Way more.
You know what I mean? And some of them I haven't heard in a long time, and they sound amazing when you hear them again, and that's just fine with me.
Yeah, same. Same.
Okay, so that's it. So in summary, the curse of Ham had nothing to do with black people.
Yeah.
That was a rumor, and that was used as an excuse
Yeah.
to abduct them and to treat them
Yeah.
like
Not only that, to make them think that they are to this day that they.
right. It was used as also as a device for the perpetual victim mentality, right? And to also remove any hope that
Yeah.
you know of because you know if they're convinced that they're cursed,
Yeah.
then you know then that just kind of it's all designed to keep people in a you know in the Sitra Achra mindset,
Yeah.
you know, frozen.
Yep.
That's it. They do it to black people a certain way. They do it to everybody else in different ways too.
Yeah.
You know, whatever it takes. And it's very sad, and you made me depressed by thinking about this topic. And you made me think about Mooney, who I don't like. And you know what I mean?
But he is right that what did he say? He's like, you notice they had Diana, Princess Diana had a black oh, you know what? Let me I want to actually this I actually found funny, and I think you will too. I just want to play it.
All right.
It's about the here. I'm surprised he didn't mention Mossad. There's a theory that Mossad did something here.
Yeah.
When it's outside, it's very clear who did what. Oh no, we can't look at the records until 5,000 years from now. It's always bullshit connected when it's the inside job. That English, that Lady Di shit, inside, they killed that bitch. The queen, that dirty, murdering, ugly ass bitch, she did it. Bitch. That was a hit.
Here, let me do the better sound. Hold on.
Dude, I could see Paul Mooney as a drag queen.
What? I know.
The way he talks, you know?
Roman trick.
Hold on.
Wash our hands of this Jesus thing. We have nothing to do with it. The Romans killed Jesus. The Jews didn't kill Jesus. They want to give you somebody to dislike. No, nothing went down in Rome. Just like here. We killed Kennedy. You can always tell when it's an inside job. There's too many stories. Was it 2 guns? Was it 3? Was it a bow and arrow? Was it a midget? There's too much going on. When it's outside, it's very clear who did what. Oh no, we can't look at the records until 5,000 years from now. It's always bullshit connected when it's the inside job. That English, that Lady Di shit.
You're playing it again, dude.
The queen, that dirty, murdering, ugly ass bitch. She did it.
Greg.
What?
It's like replaying, you know? It's like.
No, but I want you to hear this one part about. So there's a point. Just hear it out. Listen.
That was a hit. Prince Charles didn't want the body when it was alive. He sure broke his neck getting it when she was dead because he knew his mammy killed her and he wanted to cover this shit up. And somebody with that high profile 10 fucking years later, they decide to have a fucking autopsy. And the conclusion is her driver. Listen, when you drive for royalty or the fucking government, they check your mama's pussy and your booty hole.
Oh my God.
There are no surprises. That evil bitch did it. She stole all them diamonds she stole from Africa, stealing, murdering bitch. Ugly bitch. Oh, her mama's ugly, her daddy's ugly, her son is ugly. Her son's new wife looked like Dane Edna. That's ugly bitch. They all are ugly. Queen Elizabeth looks like sheep shit in shallow ass water. If she's the queen, what the fuck does the witch look like? Lady Di was cute. She had the it factor, whatever it is Lady Di had. They should have pulled her royal panties down and kissed the royal pussy. She brought beauty to them ugly ass motherfuckers.
Dude, this is like not.
I wanted to get to the part where he talks about the guy she was Dodi, that boyfriend, the Egyptian guy.
Yeah, Dodi Al Fayed. I don't.
Yeah, so he goes. He was a African, like a black Arab guy, whatever. Like
what? He's like
nappy,
black Arab. You know, that's what I'm saying. This guy is delusional.
Yeah. No, but then they're like
Dodi Al Fayed is whiter. Is like, you know what I mean? He's like what's his name? Like Don Mattingly from Syria. You know what I mean? Like Bashar al-Assad. You know, these guys. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys, like he's losing it. So but I'm gonna have to call it because because my wife needs me to help put the baby to sleep.
Alrighty, sir.
And it's not like I don't want to hear Mooney all day.
Yeah.
It's not about that at all. Bro, he's disgusting, by the way. I was not like, he gets really like
he gets,
Anyway, so we're gonna do this Ariel phenomenon thing
Probably next week. Yeah.
next week. All right, so I'll watch it, and then all right.
Yeah.
Let's hope this is a good sounding episode.
Shout Hashem.
I hope I get in trouble.
Fantastic. You know what people are gonna say? It's not your place to talk about these things.
It is my
You're
place.
white.
Yeah. It is. It's everybody's place. I'm one of everybody.
It's everybody's place to talk about everything. It's black
Yeah.
people's place to talk about Jews. It's Chinese people's place to talk about Russians. Everybody's talking about everything. You know why? Because we're all human beings. So we're all just freaking have to share this freaking planet.
Yeah. Again. That sounded like an olive branch, and I hate that.
It's an olive branch. It's just a statement of like.
It is true, but
No.
the way it sounded could be interpreted as
No,
like
it's just deal with it. That's what it was. It was a deal with it.
we are here. Like if you read the Psalms of David, right? He's always talking about people who they lie with their lips. They use their lips as weapons. They slander when you're not looking, but they speak to you smoothly and with love, when you're in their presence. And then, basically I want to banish two-facedness from the planet.
Yeah.
I want that to not be within the human DNA, within the human consciousness. And I'm not saying that, I'm always right. I know I'm not going to be always right, and I'm open to being corrected if it matches reality.
Yeah.
But even more important than being right is to being open. You understand? Be like, what's in your mind, just say it.
Can I tell you something? When I moved back here in 2013 from being in Israel, after being in Israel for 3 years, I realized how much two-facedness is going on in America. How much just, when people, just something as simple as like, how are you? But the person asking you that question doesn't give a damn. It's just a formality question. And it drove me up the wall. That alone, is an indicator of like, it's just empty,
Absolutely.
It's an empty sentiment. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's
Hollow sentiment.
It feels like every interaction that a person has with another human being should be at least genuine, whatever it is. I'm not saying it has to be like, a love fest, like Trump, like Trump says.
Yeah.
But at least
people out.
But at least it's not a waste of time. At least there's some kind of there's a reality. There's an actual connection, whether it be hate. If it's hate, then it's hate. If it's love, then it's love. If it's whatever it is, but it's real.
Yeah.
Phonies are, and Denise, she's all about this. Like everything she posts on Facebook is all, it's basically all about this. I think I was influenced by her, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that's what, that's another, remember when you were talking about like the reason for this podcast?
Yeah.
Banishing phoniness from the earth is another big aspect of it. So let's see how well we do.
Yeah. And and one of the ways is to get into, like, we said, get into the wiring. That also achieves that.
Yeah, man.
All right, sir. I'll talk to you. Good Shabbos. Chodesh Tov.
Yep.
May your brothers Neshama Velvel. Tell me again.
Velvel, Wolf, Zev Ben Aaron.
And Aaron. May his Neshama have an Aliyah. And Mashiach now. I mean that in the general sense, not what you see on the Lubavitcher bumper sticker.
Too bad. I mean that in Lubavitch sense.
Yeah.
Because the Lubavitch means now, actually, like now.
Yeah, no, like, this nanosecond. Yesterday. Last second. Yeah, but I don't know.
North Carolina.
According to Dov, well, yeah, that's a separate issue. But according to Dov Barleib, it could be. He says that if it ain't gonna happen now in Elul or Heshvan, I'm gonna stop blogging and posting my blog posts. That's what he said.
He's going on strike.
Yeah, or he's like, I still believe in the coming of Mashiach. It's just that clearly it's not on my calculations, I guess. So, but who knows? All right, sir.
Have a good one, my friend.
Well, let's hope.
Night, and Viva El Cuba Libre.
Oh, mine.